The upside continues here this morning. Overall, the market in positive territory. A number of individual names moving around back to the upside as well. There's Boeing, just one of them. I was just looking at here, extending this 2 or 3 day rally now here in the pre-market, up better part of 2%. Tesla back to the upside in a nice way as well. 4% coming off quite the rally back at the end of last week. This kind of interesting, 3,100 coming into play for gold as the market tries to find a little bit of a base here, possibly. Was that the overall bottom? I mean, time will tell, but it remains to be seen. As far as 487 coming into play here right now on the NASDAQ, 2 days in a row back to the upside. We're outside of that top end of the range from the end of last week. Will that maintain, I think, is the question as we get going here on Monday. I mean, all of my screens are very, very green.
Yes, likewise.
It's been a while, so it's good to see, though.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to complain about this, Brendo. We got some good possible news over the weekend with respect to the reciprocal tariffs expected April 2nd. It looks like, they're really going to target the worst offenders. They're calling them the Dirty 15, Canada included, of course. But what good came out of that was the flexibility. So we're going to basically wait and see exactly how that all pans out. But there was flexibility expressed from there. Lots to talk about today. Brendo, crypto up, Apple getting a bit of a nod there from Ming Chi Kuo, saying that the new iPhone 18 expected next year is going to have that 2 nanometer technology from Taiwan Semi, and Nvidia up 2%, but under a little pressure because they're being investigated there in Malaysia with respect to kind of sending out their GPUs all over the world.
Yeah, we'll touch on Nvidia, I'm sure, coming up here in the semiconductors once again. I was just reading here, MicroStrategy picking up an extra 6,900 Bitcoin between March 17th and March 23rd. We talked about that offering going back to the beginning of last week. So that's MSTR gapping up along with Bitcoin this morning, back to the upside in a pretty big way here. It's worth noting. I bet back to $50. That's 50 right above us right now for IBIT. Chicago National Activity Index just coming through there. Looks like positive 0.18 versus a negative 0.08 print going back to January. Happy Monday, guys.
Yeah, so far it is a happy Monday.
Happy day.
The market's up nicely. I mean, pretty much the entire corp board is going to be looking green. I mean, well, nat gas is down, but
yeah,
that's not a big deal. There's a few names that are going to stand out here, like percentage-wise and like where they've come from, where they've gone. I mean, Palantir cleared out a pretty monster level. Tesla gapped way above that 250 zone. Although you could say way above, it's only like $7 or $8 bucks above the resistance there. So that's going to be in play for sure. You don't have a lot in the way of earnings this week, but I believe we have GameStop left.
Yeah, we do.
So that's a little bit of a spicy one. That's up again here today. And Randy is in the house.
The Banana Man is here. We've got bananas again.
Here we go.
I know
we've got them back.
They finally, they just got here, I guess. Yeah, okay.
Okay, good. Because the breakfast was a little bit tardy.
Tardy, yeah. Well, it wasn't here a couple minutes ago. So.
No.
Anyways, all right.
We're good to go now. Market's up. Hopefully we can actually stay green. We got green. Can we stay green?
If we don't stay green, it's a problem. I mean, you're up
That's
1.5%. Yeah, the NASDAQ up 1.5%. Tesla's now rocking over that 250. I was just looking right here. ES also up 1.2%. You know, I wasn't looking necessarily at Walmart. I was looking at Costco here. A little bit upset that we didn't pull the trigger last week on this name. Again, we're not trying to buy too many stocks down here, and I thought that, we wanted to wait for earnings season, and I think that you might be onto something there. Costco right now trying to bump back through this 920 area. I want to look to try to find a lot of stocks like this where you have, some bottoms. We talked about PayPal, where you're trying to base out and now breaking through. Costco also being started here with the 200 period. So we do have that nice move to the upside. I want to check in on gold quickly as well. 280. So again, a good one here as we try to hold that 3,000 mark right there, coming back in just a little bit on Friday. See if gold can hold some of these bids as well. So yeah, so far so good here this morning. I mean, it looks like we're starting to get backside. Maybe those tariffs, the word flexible was used there on Friday. So if there is going to be some flexibility in these tariffs, then maybe they do become reciprocal, and we're just looking at a little bit of a fight back and forth, and not just, a straight slap of 20, 30, 50%, depending on, what we're talking about. But the NASDAQ's also doing that base a little bit here as well, right? Where we might have found something down here, gap up a little bit higher. Not all is done yet. We're still under 200 period moving average. But I think there's a lot of names that are good. You talked about Palantir was been really great. I mean, Robinhood off the bottom, another name here, $46. I think the bottom was 35, 36 as well. So I don't know. We'll wait. I don't think we're clear yet. Russia, Ukraine still needs to get figured out. Obviously, these tariffs are a problem. But if we think about it, if we get rid of the tariffs, you think that there's going to be less regulation, hopefully more mergers and acquisitions. We got Klarna coming, which if that's received well, that should be good. And then you have lower corporate taxes are supposed to come with this new administration as well. So there are some like green shoots out there. What was SMCI doing today? They were moving around a little. Yeah, okay, flat. Okay, they were just on the radar here a little bit, but yeah, not doing too much. 830 was ticking. Oh, VWAP. Yeah, okay, not doing much. Yeah, and then it's Tesla, right? Tesla up to 260 a little bit here today. That's exciting, right? I know you were just in there at 222. That might have been a bottom there for sure. Nice levels to come through, and then boom, up to 260 right now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to sell today.
Well, that's sort of the thing.
I mean, even if you bought last week, are you selling now?
No.
I don't know. I don't think so, right? So I mean, hopefully this is the start of something good.
Yeah, didn't buy enough that I think I'd want to sell anything.
Enough.
That said, like I would if I was in what's an example of something if you maybe if you were in one of the quantum names and got like a huge rally in those, or like one of the if you just bought like an SMR, one of the nuclear names, like something that rallied that doesn't make a bunch of money on it yet, right? Like it's more of a longer term play. Like if you were in on like SMR just went from like 15, although it hasn't even rallied that much. Maybe you wouldn't even sell that. But that would be the kind of thing I would consider if you got a really sustained bounce and maybe something that wasn't as fundamentally good, because then you question how far really it's going to go.
I wanted to look at a stock like Intel here, and the thing is that this is what I don't want to be fooled about. I'm going to have a little look at some of this stuff. So you're going to see that Intel's up today, but because we closed down here at 24.25, like we had a bad close. We had not a bad close, but we had some sell-off, right? We had the witching and the rebalancing. So like even though Intel looks like it closed at 24.30, we're now at 24.60, right? I just wonder how many of those names are looking, and again, it's not just the NASDAQ. See, Apple would be complete opposite, where you had a nice move up and you're continuing that move there into the close, right? What did Nvidia do into the close on Friday? So again, I guess it might have just been Intel that had the sell imbalance, but there's Nvidia with a nice move up. There's the continued move as well. But this is the thing about being in the all clear, waving that like all clear flag. Nvidia is just where we were on Thursday, and Wednesday. So we did have, obviously last week was pretty busy week with the Fed and everything coming through. So now we'll have to wait to see, can we get above some of those humps that we had made? Looks like a camel there, 1 hump, 2 hump. Let's see if we can get another one going through here. So yeah, there's still some opportunities to buy. I don't think Tesla's the interesting because Tesla's really starting to go. Like you might have, I don't think you missed the bottom or anything like that, but it's getting a good one well above last week's high.
Well, the thing with Tesla is relative to the names we've been talking about, I mean, you can pull out some other ones that got cut in half, but out of the Mag 7 or out of the biggest cap tech, like it got destroyed the most. So you would think that it should have the largest percentage rally, which is why the 15 or 10 to 15% that it's up, depending on where you look at that bottom, it doesn't seem all that impressive. Another name that it's not the same as what you were describing with Intel, because Intel tanked at the close on Friday. But SMCI is still underneath Friday's resistance, and that's another thing to watch. There was a downgrade on them, and we'll probably talk a little bit about that. But it's a solid looking chart. Like this, if anything, if the market holds up, you don't wonder if this can break it out, because the downgrade is not a huge catalyst, I don't think. So a lot of times, if it holds it down, and this market does have a good 2+% day, this one, love that 50 period. Could be trying to break out, but there's so many other names that are already breaking that you got to look at for that strength. That's why, I mean, Palantir, I think, is going to be on the radar for sure. Tesla, no questions asked. I'm not as sold on Nvidia. Just not today, not yet.
Yeah, we're still, go.
Positive here. Palantir, I wanted to talk about in a second, up big time here. I was just reading through this note on Boeing. Boeing talking about streamlining essentially output along with Airbus as well, looking at lighter, faster, cheaper materials as far as putting planes together. So extending this rally from last week, if you missed it last week, big defense contract coming through for Boeing, had this thing up 2 of 3 days going into the weekend. So 2% on top of what was, now a $21 move going back to that low end of the range from last week.
It's a fantastic look, Brendo. I mean, they beat out Lockheed Martin for that. What are they calling it? This F-47. It's supposed to be a stealth aircraft, advanced sensors, cutting-edge engines. Some kind of talk in the industry that it still doesn't really meet the requirements. It should be drone-based and unmanned or unpiloted. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But it's a lot of money for them over here, and especially with a major competitor like Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin has been losing out on a lot of contracts. They lost the F-30. They were having issues with the F-35. They just lost the Navy contract as well. So Boeing catching a bit of a tailwind here.
Yeah, I didn't look at LMT, but yeah, down on that. So down big time on that as well, 2.25%. Meta, another one worth noting here, up nicely, back above 615 right now, 2.7%. Meta and OpenAI holding talks with India's Reliance Industries over expansion, possibly into or further expansion into that country on the AI side of things, guys. Meta looks great here.
Yeah, but the thing is, everything looks great. Like literally, we're showing at what SMCI and Intel were like two names that weren't breaking above prior highs. So I think that's the litmus test for me today, at least the early litmus test, I should say, is are you breaking out of last week's tops? If anything, like when I was pulling up Palantir, I didn't show you the 15-minute chart, but like that was well above the prior highs of the previous week. It was like 90 to 91 was your resistance zone. You're chilling out at like 90, 93.25, almost as high as 94. So Meta up 3%, great, but it's still right at that top, like here, like 613, 614. Like it hasn't really busted through much. But look, I love Meta. Don't get me wrong. Like I love Meta. I think it's showing you the trend break right now. If you were to pull it from the high, there's no question about it. It's the only one of the Mag 7 that actually held the 200 period and bounced above it, which I think is a great sign. But just specifically for today, it's kind of hanging out in the region of the highs as opposed to breaking away from them, which does give it a little bit of just a little bit less juice for me to want to be long it at this level. And then if you get a dip, you have a pretty hefty gap. Just going back to Friday's high and then what you saw on Thursday, because it was a rocket on the Thursday, obviously. And I think if you start filling in that gap, this is one of the kind of riskier ones. I'm putting things into two different buckets, like the ones that broke out and the ones that did not. Unfortunately, Meta didn't break last week's highs.
Yeah, so just like Neil said, a lot of these tech names are going to look great. So there today, especially a name like Palantir. Like I'm a little surprised that Boeing gets that deal and doesn't really go up even more than it did there on Friday. But it had a really nice pullback in near the end of the day there, right back into this 178. And now you're getting a little bit of a bump up here. I think Boeing is a go as long as we break this 183.50. I think that's actually a punch long right there. If we're going to get good news in this market, and then they're not stealing this deal, but getting the award. It's only a couple, $20 billion initially, but could lead to more and will lead to more. So, as Sharif said, still a little bit of work to be done here. But at the end of the day, 183.50, that's looking pretty good to me. There's the spike up on the announcement. Some nice volume coming through there. Look, you always want these deals. Neil just talked about Palantir with the government, and this is looking like a good one. The only thing about Boeing is that it's already had these huge moves. So I would think that a pullback into the 200 period, that's 170. I'm not sure that's going to come through, but now you have a little bit of an extra revenue stream. We all wait for the 737s or whatever, their big revenue angle is there. We'll see if that can get going, but you're right near a breakout spot for Boeing, man, 190, 192. So yeah, I think this name could still go. And then LMT, there's going to be more, as we talked about, more defense spending, even though it seems like it's getting cut. That's, it's just this has been a huge move to the downside, right? I mean, you get that bump there last summer, then all of a sudden, this is from the election highs. Like, this is October 23rd. You got a little bit of a bump, but since then, man, Lockheed Martin coming right back in. And we've looked at some of these levels, like down in here into 420, like that looks like a decent bottom. We've just rallied off of that real nice, and now you come back in. So this could be a buy as well. You might buy a little bit of Boeing and Lockheed Martin at some of these levels and sort of split hairs there. But yeah, down 2.5%. Not many names down 2.5% here today. Lockheed might be good. I'm not particularly buying that name, but it's at a decent level, so could be worth considering. I see Michael Noss. He'll be talking about some good levels there. Talked about last week, maybe nibbling in, he was mentioning there. So we'll see if there's an update on that. That looks like to be a good call there with the NASDAQ up 1.6%. I mean,
as long as you didn't buy 23andMe, I think you're okay.
what is that stock moving around? I didn't
Bankruptcy.
Oh, bankruptcy. Okay, well, only a matter of time before. I'm done buying like those kind of like questionable ones where you're trying to throw
That was
darts
really
at.
suspect.
Yeah, if you're throwing darts,
The higher
then
level
sometimes you,
suspect.
sometimes you hit bullseye there, but okay, it's I almost said 3:45, not quite yet. 8:45. It looks like we're getting ready for our early morning guest.
Yeah, some globe trotting coming up here for Michael Noss this morning. We've been touching on the past couple of weeks and months the simple fact that everything else in the world has been strong this year. North America, not so much. Michael Noss, where were you traveling over your weekend? Chart-wise,
I wish, because I'm a huge sushi fan, but we're going to talk about Japan, right? And they're obviously going to have the best in the world there. But yeah, like you mentioned, Brendan, we've been talking about this for a while. This sell-off has been not exclusively to the U.S., but mostly in the U.S. So I brought some charts that I think will be interesting. All of these, of course, you can buy in the U.S. It's one of the benefits of the U.S. market is that they have ADRs. So a lot of names, most large names, are dual listed. So these will trade in Japan, but they'll also trade in the US as well. So the first chart here, this is just a weekly chart of the Japanese yen. You can call it a declining wedge or an inverse head and shoulders or whatever it is. It just looks like it might be a bit of a bottoming action in the yen. So this is important because it just shows that yes, there is some support for their currency. The Japanese government has been saying for a while they're going to stop the bleeding of their currency, which I think is important because if the currency is being depreciated all the time to these insane levels, it generally can't be too good for investment. So the next chart is the one that really got me starting to look in Japan, and this is EWJV. So I always bring the weirdest ETFs to you guys, but you can see the nice little breakout here. So what this is let's say the Japanese Dow. So it's the Japanese value ETF. So this takes out anything that's kind of growthy and just looks at the bigger companies that are out there. And you can see didn't participate much at all in the sell-off and has actually broken out over the last few weeks to new all-time highs. So it's really, really strong market, really strong stock. So I want to take you guys back to one thing that we were talking about a couple weeks ago is the strength in financials. I think I was on with Sean in the After Hours show, and we were talking about how strong just financials as a whole. We were talking about names like JP Morgan and all of this. So funny enough, if you look at the makeup of this ETF, it's a lot of financial companies. So everything that I'm going to show you is in the financial sector in Japan. So if you like your financials and you like your foreign securities right now, this could be a good kind of combination of both of those. So the first one here, the ticker is IX. So not even going to try to pronounce a lot of the names of these companies, but this one I think is just Oryx, so I'll try that one anyway, but the rest of them I'll leave alone. Look at, these are all weekly charts because when it comes to analyzing these ADRs, the daily charts get a bit messy because they just gap all the time because most of the trading's done off hours, and just a nice little bull flag. You can see not participating as much in the downside here. This one actually pays a dividend if you're looking for that kind of stuff and did a stock split recently. So IX is looking interesting. It's a very strong name, a nice little bull flag. So I'm going to be interested in this one, nibble above 22, and then you're wrong if it gets under 20. Next one here is MUFG or MFG, I think is the ticker. There's an MUFG too. They're the same company, but this is Mitsubishi or Mizuho. I said I wouldn't pronounce these, so I probably shouldn't. Financial Group. So this is another financial company with, again, Mitsubishi, looks like this one as well, but just it's not blowing the world up, but just look at this trend from 2023 to now. You're talking nearly 3 times in this name and just breaking out to new all-time highs. So this might be a momentum play. Again, these aren't biotechs. They're not going to triple overnight, but that trend, when I saw that, is just an insanely solid trend. So the last one here is NMR, and this is probably my favorite look here. And this is a very typical kind of cup and handle style look. Another crazy one from 2023 to now. It was a $3.50 stock all the way up to $7. So that straight line up in 2024 was nearly a double for this name. So for a bank and for a fairly decently sized bank to do that, that's pretty crazy to me. So these are really on notice. So this one is pretty simple as well. We've got this cup and handle style look. If we break that downtrend line, I'm interested. The stop probably goes under $6 or so. Like most banks, you know, you're collecting dividends. I know that's boring for a lot of people probably watching this show, but in a market like this, it's just straight chopping sideways. I think it makes a lot of sense to go to whatever is trending higher. And even if it's not going to, again, double or triple, I think it's just way better on the psyche than to try to pick lows. And hey, you get paid for holding these for a period of time.
Do you approach this a little bit differently from the standpoint of, as we've touched on as well in the past, you know, if some of these macro issues get resolved, money comes back into, you know, more riskier assets, North American assets, probably comes out of some of these other European markets, maybe, you know, Japan, those types of places. Do you approach these types of trades differently, have a shorter leash because of that?
No, the thing I love about technical analysis and charts is if that starts to happen, then the prices will come down. And when it comes to a lot of these, especially slower stocks, I'm going to be using some sort of trailing stop. So, you know, a 50-day moving average or something like that in order to keep me in the position. And what will happen is, if we get this rotation, then it will come down and it will, again, stop those names out. So I'm going to give these a little bit of time. If the market just screams to new all-time highs, then there'll be more things to buy. I'm not putting a lot of money into these names because what you're talking about, all of the problems right now in the States can be kind of resolved with a stroke of the pen on April 2nd. If they say, okay, we're done, we figured out the tariffs, it's time to move on. But I just think this is a good diversifier right now to find some strength, keeping most of my money in cash right now for if we, you know, have some more fun stuff to do at home. I guess at home being the U.S.
The fun times continue, depending on where you're looking anyways. Michael Noss, great stuff as always. Back with us after the close tonight. We'll see you then.
Talk to you then.
Thanks, Michael. Looking forward to it, of course. And, you know, when you look around, we were talking about this last week. I'm trying to remember which day on the aftermarket show. It might have been Wednesday, but it doesn't really matter. It was sort of the notion of if this bounce that we have in the U.S. is going to sustain itself, then you've already seen it. Like there was the world won, like all the markets around the world were all winning. Europe was winning. You saw Chinese stocks doing very, very well while we're in this pullback. And then so my thought was, okay, well, if we get a bit of a bounce, you get a pullback in the Chinese names. I was looking at Bob in particular. Now it's resting at the bottom end of the range. So if we resume the downtrend in the U.S., let's just say this bounce doesn't sustain this week, my fear would be, okay, well, I want to see that show strength in the Chinese names. Like to me, if we continue another leg down, I want to see Alibaba continue higher. But it works in both directions, right? Like Alibaba, if we sustain this rally in the US and maybe that rotation doesn't come back in, I own some Baba shares that I haven't sold at all. Like you have this nice little channel and flag. Well, if we continue in the US and maybe the strength comes back, I don't want to lose this gap here because I think you could be right back at 115 really, really quickly. So I'm eyeballing Alibaba just on a personal level that if we lose, say, about like 130, I think you could have a good 10, 15% pullback on that stock. But again, it's early. It's bouncing right now. It's up 1% with the market up. So for now, it's going with everything. But my concern would be that you get a bit of a detachment with some of the Chinese names from this rally that we're having in the U.S. We'll see.
Yeah, it's nice to see some of the bank names as well. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hopefully 8 up days in a row for JP Morgan. So there we go. Some of the other sectors starting to go through as well. Thank you, Michael, for talking about emerging markets. We've talked about Japan and Brazil, and Joe and I talked about some of these markets as well on the recap show last week. So yeah, I mean, there's lots happening. Let's go over to Adara for upgrades and downgrades.
Off the upgrade side of things, Jefferies Financial lowering its price target for FedEx to $275, but upgrading the stock. Pinterest here up nicely, almost 5% with a Guggenheim upgrade. Lumentum from Raymond James, bit of a downgrade or price target decrease here, but still upgrading the stock. And then we have Valley getting upgraded by Piper Sandler this morning. The downgrade side of things, Piper Sandler kicking off with not one, but two home builder and construction related downgrades. Lowe's and Home Depot both getting this pushed to the downside. Then we have Funware getting downgraded by H.C. Wainwright. Last but not least, H.C. Wainwright also downgrading Flux. So quite a few names on watch today, guys.
Picking on Funware. That's going to...
Wasn't SMCI got
bit of a random one. I'd swear SMCI got a downgrade. Yeah, SMCI did get a downgrade, but yeah, that's obviously a high-profile name. The one that's interesting, well, surprising out of that might be Pinterest. And when I look at pins, not to be doom and gloom on this one, but if the market does give it back, this 34, it's a 50 period, moving average. And then I looked at it, it did not break through that March, we'll call it the March bottom bounce, because right after we had that, anything that made a relief rally a couple of days after, it's either breaking out or it's not. This did not really break out some of those tops. Like there's so many things that are like this is in the clear from Friday and last week's levels, but it's not really in the clear from some of those March lows. And that's the kind of thing that I'm going to be looking at for if the market doesn't hold this gain up, what is at that major resistance spot? Though there's no volume over there in pins. I feel like SMCI is going to stand out maybe a little bit more. Because SMCI, it's almost more clear on SMCI, where they got downgraded. They're down 1% into a market that's up 1.5 on the NASDAQ. You've got multiple areas of resistance that if this market turns, you're going to have, assuming this goes with it for a little bit to the upside, you're going to have multiple layers that you can fade into. So if I had to pick one, I mean, Pinterest is interesting at 34, but it's doing zero volume. And whereas SMCI, like I said, there's like multiple overhead levels. If this market turns around, that's the one I'd want to short. Probably have to pay for locates, though, which I can.
Maybe, yeah. That might be a good look there. I like Home Depot on that side of the downgrade side there. I think it's could possibly be upgraded here. More certainty coming potentially with the tariffs. I really like the levels that we're at here for Home Depot. Again, we sort of talked about some of those lows that have come through. This has really been hit hard as a lot of us fear, maybe less spending happening. If we do get that, people talk about stagflation and whatnot. We'll have to wait to see what that means to a stock like Home Depot, because if we don't start putting money back into our homes and whatnot in the spring, then yeah, this name could continue to go to the downside. This is supposed to be a decent quarter here coming up spring heading into summer. So I think Home Depot should be able to withstand some of this. You're not too far away from some of those lows right now. So I think on a downgrade, it's 345 is what I was looking at. That's held last week. So right into here, some of these levels, I mean, this was pretty well hit on earnings, down into that 345, bounced off 345 again, was a little bit of a shallower bounce. Then there on Friday, made that low right back into 345 again. So yeah, I think for Home Depot, another name that if you are looking to get a little bit away from some of the tech names like an SMCI or Palantir or anything like that, that is always moving around. Home Depot with just a nice move down. Look, man, I mean, again, dividends there, a different space. We looked at Costco a little bit. We're looking at Home Depot. I think you can start to dip in a little bit. I do have Amazon written on here for a play that we'll have today, but I like Home Depot, not really a trading name, but a name that you can pick up, similar to what we did with JP Morgan down there.
All right, lots to understand here this morning as we get going at 9 o'clock. Sharif going to kick it off as he always does with a look at the overall market.
57.18, guys. That's where we closed out on Friday on the ES June contract now. So the March contract's all over. We're really knocking on the door of that 5,800 point area here. The overnight high, 57.88. We're basically hanging out at the overnight high. So until we take out 5,800, we're going to use that as resistance. To the downside, we'll use the overnight low. Actually, we'll use a little bit higher than the overnight low. We'll use 57.50 as support.
If you haven't done so yet, make sure you take a second, jump down to the description of this video. Top link in the description will get you to that page. And then all you need is your email address, and you can sign up for the watch list. We send it out every single morning before we come on at 8:30. Has absolutely everything you need to know in the pre-market. A lot of things to consider here this morning. Let's start with crypto. IBIT up better part of 4% with Bitcoin. We tagged, or just about tagged, 50 for the ETF anyways this morning. It's been a while since we've been up there. Last week was a bit of a chop fest for this. MSTR, we talked about a little bit early on this morning as well. 6,900 Bitcoin again last week.
Yeah, and XRP in focus today too, Breno. They won their lawsuit against the SEC. The SEC dropped their 4-year lawsuit against Ripple, which had accused the company of literally illegally raising $1.3 billion through XRP sales in 2023. The federal court found that XRP didn't really fit the definition of the security undercutting the SEC's case, and Ripple spent about $150 million of their own money to fight the SEC, which ended up dropping the lawsuit finally. Other crypto firms, including Coinbase, Kraken, Robinhood, Binance, these have all seen their lawsuits dropped by the SEC, and now the new task force led by Hester Pierce kind of shifting from enforcement to engagement. So not a bad look for crypto today.
Coming back in a little bit right now, but still huge gap here, guys, for this ETF today.
It's a great gap, but remember, 24-hour market, and the good thing about that is sometimes you get some levels that come in on Saturday, Sunday, because on Sunday, just sort of look at it yesterday. Yeah. Last night, I should say. I'm acting like Sunday wasn't yesterday. You could see a little bit of a spike into about 86 half to pull back, and then we made some fresh highs. Well, that also, if you go back into Thursday, was a big drop zone right around that 86 half. This is when Trump was making some comments, and it was a bit of a sell the news event. So I like that level. And when that corresponding level, it's like 86 and a half or so, that works out to 49 on IBIT, because there's that Thursday top. So essentially, that Thursday top, go to last night, and there was a pop, a fade off that level, and then we broke out of it. So looking at IBIT at 49, and it's an advantage. And the other thing is, I was actually thinking about this a bit more when I saw the confirmation of that level in the 24-hour market, and reminded that we can look at that kind of a thing for equities as well, because you have with Blue Ocean and overnight markets, sometimes you might find things like that as well. If there happens to be any extra aftermarket volume, you can get confirmation on a level. So I like 49 for dip buys here into IBIT, and corresponds with the low 86s, I do believe.
Yeah, so for me, I'm just getting the sticky note out right now, but I like Mara down here. We've talked about this last week. We actually traded it quite well off $12 that one day, and now you're way up. And we already sort of, I didn't put this trade on, but I'm glad that we at least talked about it, because it was always looking at this 12 bottom right there. And we were talking about if it broke, you'd have to come in, and then on a day like today, like if Bitcoin's the other way and it's 77,000, then yeah, this is going to be under 12 or at least near it. And then you'd hope to get out for whatever that loss was if you were able to buy this name Mara down there at 12 and a quarter, 12.20. Last week we had it on the sticky note at least twice down here at 12 to 12.20. And I think we only had it the one day, but it was a good day, man. It came into 12 and we got out 12.50, 12.40. Mara's been really good, and it looks like it wants to go higher right now. So for me, I'm just going to try to play this back. It's on the sticky note. It'll be out in a second, but I have it right here as 12.50 long. So I don't know, like that's the 200 period. It's going to come back into that. We'll see if we can hold. I mean, 12.50 will probably start the bidding at 12.60, take it into Friday's close. So if Mara comes back in at all, as Brendan mentioned, IBIT maybe moving around just a little bit here. We'll see if crypto does do a sell-off, and if there is, then my attention is going to be on Mara. So a $12 name, a little bit cheaper than trading Bitcoin or Coinbase or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I like Mara down here. I know it's getting more expensive to actually hash out a Bitcoin now because of the halving and all that stuff. But it's they're holders of Bitcoin. It's a good name. It's found support. I like Mara down here at down 4%. And also, like with GameStop reporting later on this week, they'll probably say something about crypto too, adding that maybe to their balance sheet. So we'll see what winds up happening here. But I think it's a pretty positive day there for crypto, and a good story with XRP as well, right? I know there's a lot of traders looking that's the one that you should have moving. And I actually, as Sharif mentioned it, I actually looked it up, and I was clicking on it and looking at whoopsies and not minimizing it and looking around at what's going on with that. But here it is right here, XRP. Just in the last week, it's flat. It's only up 0.06. So if you are looking for something to move up there, Bitcoin 0.3, Ethereum 1.7. It's Ripple right now not catching really too much, of that decision. So if you are thinking about getting into something, Solana down 4%, Cardano down 4%, Dogecoin down 5%. So crypto's not necessarily surviving right here other than BTC. So you might want to look at Ripple, XRP, for a move higher this week, as well as Bitcoin, not those other three. So we'll wait to see what happens. But all right, Nvidia, we can't go a day without talking about Nvidia.
Level coming into play actually right now. We're right here, right now at these highs from last week. I mean, coming off GTC last week, nothing to talk about really. It was kind of back and forth the entire week. We were down initially, and then it was just a chop fest throughout this entire conference. We were wondering if the Thursday, I guess it was going to bring a little bit more volatility, but really nothing to speak of.
No, it kind of felt like a sell the news event a little bit, Brendo. So this week, it's a different headline. No GTC this week. We've got Malaysia in focus. Malaysia is increasing their regulatory oversight on the semiconductor shipments, especially the ones that have Nvidia chips in them. The move comes after the U.S. pressure to prevent advanced chips from being diverted to China. Authorities in Malaysia will monitor shipments to ensure that the chips reach their intended data centers and are not diverted later. Singapore also in the focus here, Brendo. They raided 22 locations linked to fraudulent supply of U.S. servers containing Nvidia's chips, worth about $400 million, give or take. The U.S. officials suspect some of these chips were illegally, you guessed it, sent to our friends in China.
Not the first time we've heard this story or talked about it on this show. That being said, market clearly doesn't care because here we are, 2% to the upside, trying to break out a little bit here for Nvidia.
Yeah, and it kind of stinks that you're not breaking last week's levels on Nvidia. It does give it some place to go. Like I'm not putting Nvidia in the bucket of like SMCI. It's a stock that's down and underneath resistance levels, but I did kind of expect with this exuberance that we'd be challenging 121 and not still chilling out at 120. Like 120 was your sell zone last week. You know, that was the spot where it would turn around. So I feel like you're in a precarious spot with Nvidia where it better hold on to 119, at least hold on to that lower high. Otherwise, it's hard for me to just say, yeah, let this one fly from here. When we talk about, and we're going to get to Tesla, I guess, and we already mentioned Palantir, Robinhood was an example Sean came up with. There's just a heck of a lot of strength and names that cleared out some of these levels. And I think you've gotten that all clear. So for Nvidia, for me, yeah, 119 looks like the obvious next level for a dip buy, but it's going to have to hold instantly. And that's hold VWAP right away. 120 is the spot. If you're not holding VWAP right away for a trend up, I don't think I touch this in the first 30 minutes. I'd rather maybe go to Tesla and Palantir as opposed to Nvidia. So yeah, probably going to sit this one out at the open for Nvidia and just sort of see how it plays out, whether it's able to hold this 120 level. Because it's either that or take an instant break in a stock that I didn't think was as strong as the others.
Yeah, I just have a small little note on Nvidia today. It's literally like the smallest of notes I could possibly write down here for this. I wrote down 118 in focus. GTC conference, as Shreves mentioned, is now over. I think we should move up on positive flows. There it is right there, Nvidia, right at the bottom. I mean, 120, it's a nice move. I don't want to get too complacent with this move, though, because, you know, like, April 2nd is what next? What day is it anyways? Is it Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah, next Wednesday. So we still have 7 market days ahead of us here before we actually figure out what's going to happen with these tariffs. It could be a whole new round of tariffs. They could just go ahead as planned with nothing. We're all getting so excited about this flexibility word and the fact that maybe some of these tariffs will come off, or maybe we've seen all the tariffs now, and with some negotiations, we can get a little bit more positivity. I like the move. We've talked about this move off of that 105 and how nice that's been, man. That's 20% up if we can get into that 125 area. So right into here is where I'm interested in. I'd like to see us hold this and then potentially start tomorrow or something above this 125 area. But for me, I think it's a little bit of a short into that 50-period moving average until we are completely convinced about these tariffs and about the NASDAQ really starting to go. I mean, it's a great day. It's a great recovery day. We finally had a nice week last week. I think it was green week, finally after 5 or 6 red ones. But for me, Nvidia, I just want to dip by this right here into 118. A lot of these levels are just going to be closing areas for me from Friday. So let's just see where that love is. That's the 200 period right there on the 5-minute chart and on the daily chart. Mind some of these. We did have a lot of bad wicks there into the close or after hours, it looks like. So we'll try to, I can't fix all of those, but at the end of the day, there it is right there. That's 116, 117. There's the false bump sort of at the end of the day. We talked about that with some of those imbalances. So I'd like to see us hold 118. So dip buys into 118. The 200 period's now at 119. I'm a buyer of Nvidia, but a couple dollars lower. And even then, I'm going to wait a minute on doing that because I feel like there could be a lot of volume coming in here off the open. What time is it? 9:10. Okay, just hold on a second.
Just be first after Witcher.
Yeah, that's what I want to check out. So I'm on Rigetti today. We'll talk about that probably, but yeah, just quantum name right now at the top. Not much else happening. BBA and Neo there as well. BAC with a sell. Boeing right there with a bid. We've talked a little bit about that stock today. So right now here off the open, there isn't a whole heck of a lot of interest. It looks like here right off the open in buys and sells. Looks like we're being overwhelmed obviously by bids, but we'll wait to see what happens here once the NASDAQ comes in. I'm really impressed that we're still holding and it looks like we want to get a little bit higher here. Hey man, today's a long day, that's for sure. I forgot to write down the TQs, but we'll talk about that as the market opens.
Definitely a different feeling than what we had last week. That's
Already
for
getting
sure
real
as far
cool.
as the market's concerned. 0.9 here for Alibaba. We touched on these a little bit if you're with us in the first 30 minutes, but I mean, China's strength, this chart doesn't really look like it that much, but if you go to some of the EV names, they were a little bit higher in the pre-market coming back in here this morning after 2 or 3 days to the downside 10 last week.
And they had an important meeting on the weekend, Brendo. Apple, Tim Cook is there, a bunch of others. Let's talk about this. So a lot of CEOs, American companies in China right now to meet with the vice premier. They're basically what they're trying to do is elicit more foreign investment and show that they remain committed to market openness, excuse me. So the meeting includes execs from Apple, Pfizer, MasterCard, Eli Lilly, all top American companies, including Qualcomm as well. It's called the China Development Forum, but really what they're talking about here is an action plan to attract more foreign investment, despite the fact that, you know, some commentators were warning about the economic fragmentation with the upcoming tariffs. So not a bad look here. We'll keep an eye on these ADRs, Brendo.
Yeah, I mean, they've given a lot of it back so far this morning, but trying to bounce anyways, guys.
Yeah, I sort of talked about a little bit of a concern with regards to, you know, the rotation and strength in the U.S. market. So then maybe you get some weakness coming out of China. So that'd be the first concern. So I'm going to show you Blue Ocean because this is sort of what was happening overnight here in Alibaba. So you look at where like the breakaway at 136 and double bottom at 134.2, and those are a couple of things worth watching out for. So a couple of levels there in Alibaba. Whoops, that was a New York stock. Of course, that just went NASDAQ, so there you go. And then all of a sudden, you know, that 136, which was a breakaway zone, it's already bounced one off that level. So this is where I think you run into, you know, that, I don't want to call it trouble, but if the market stays strong here in the US, I think you could see some relative weakness in China this week. So that 136 is kind of that key little bit of a litmus, and then the 134.2 would be sort of a support zone. So I'd like to see this one flesh it out. I do expect, and we're going to talk about Tesla next, but we've already mentioned a couple times here, like some IBIT off the open, like some Palantir, like some Tesla. So I don't know that I'll be jumping right to Alibaba right away, but if it loses the 136 where it broke out from in the overnight market or in Asia, in the Asian market, then I think you're in a little bit of trouble and you have a gap down to 134 on BABA, which is one of two Chinese names I'd look at. Oh, and if NEO gets to $4, I mean, it's not there, but NEO at 4 has just been a buy.
Yeah, NEO is a good one. I was going to look at NEO.
It's like just 450, I think, but not close.
Yeah, it's 457 or something right now. All right, I'm just setting some orders up, Rigetti and whatnot. China, okay, so look, I only really look at BABA or at FXI, and we've been talking a little bit about BABA now, so I'll just go over to FXI. Again, you know, Michael Nas talked about some of the strength in different markets. We've been sort of focusing on the fact that the U.S. market's one of the only markets globally that is down this year of the major markets, and that's starting to get corrected here, hopefully in the next week. But yeah, if China, good story for sure. A little negative over the last couple of days as some of the money flows back into these U.S. side, but I think China's still strong, man. DeepSeek seems to be doing the right thing there, accomplishing cheaper. Similar results with cheaper inputs. So we'll have to wait to see if China can still hold these levels. I think it's a good one. I'm looking basically back into everything for Friday. So up 1%. I think this one continues to work as well. So 36.70. I think you buy FXI. I mean, for the top trade, I think we short it if we ever get back up here. We talked about this break of 38 back down. So you have some garbage up here. I don't think your short is in danger until it cracks 39, which is that high. So I think I would play short right now, looking at options or anything like that for FXI, and just worry about that 39 breaking. So that's kind of the momentum to the downside there. I don't know, maybe some of the focus does go back onto China instead of Canada and Mexico and all that. But at the end of the day, FXI in China still continues to be a very strong story, well above the 50 period, angling higher here. So I think we dip by for now, and it looks like we have some support down here, 36.70 to 36.50. So for me, I'm all over that. And then NIO did have that move up near $5, I believe. And then it looks like we had fallen back. Weren't we up to 5? Yeah, so there it was right there. Gapped up into $5, now falls right back in again. So I don't know if, I don't necessarily like the car companies right down here on any side of the aisle or any side of the world. $4 though, if we can fall in here on something, I think you buy NIO just for a day trade and see if it breaks 4. So yeah, 410, something like that on NIO, something to look at. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really super excited about China today. There's so much happening in the U.S. markets, so especially with this other name here, something like Tesla. I don't know.
TSLA. What is that stock again? You guys tell us.
Some sort of car company or robots or something.
Tesla looking great here, 260, the high right now, trying to break through that pre-market high right now anyway. Yeah, 4%, 4+% here on the back of what happened on Friday. Nice rally into the weekend. I mean, you had a great experience over the weekend. You were telling us before we came on this morning. Sharif drove the Cybertruck this weekend.
It was okay. It was really good. I liked it. First of it. It's huge. First of all, the A pillar is a problem. You can't see cyclists on the other side. You really can't see much out of the opposing side's A pillar.
I've read that.
So that's number one. Number two, it's a completely different driving dynamics to drive by a wire, and the fact that the steering wheel only goes about 175 degrees each way. When you're making a right-hand turn, Brendo, it's entirely different. You got to get the mechanics kind of adjusted because it's not the same thing.
But the interesting part was you were saying you could literally have one right now outside of that last recall that happened.
Yep.
So there's plenty of stock, obviously.
Brendo, I went into the one at Lawrence, so what near my place. Yeah. The entire storage in the back were Cybertrucks, undelivered Cybertrucks that weren't earmarked for delivery, by the way. They are giving some discounts, so it should be fair. The one that I saw was about $12,000, $11,500 discount there, so they are trying to move inventory.
Okay, yeah. Not bad, not bad. What do we think here, guys? Back to the upside?
The trend is your friend until the end. Like if Tesla, I mean, Tesla was a pretty distinct downward trend. This is the first time, like the last time it actually had a consolidation that it broke out was for 2 days in the end of January. And, you know, I think we're trying one that's distinctly different because that was so close to the highs, whereas you're off the highs here in a much, much bigger way. So you can see, we know we had 250 to 252 resistance for the last couple of weeks. It's going to take quite a bit to fill in that gap. Don't get me wrong, if it comes all the way down there, that's the place where I'm looking to buy. But if you're going continuation, saying we wait, if it breaks the bottoms and we get $7 lower or $8 lower, you'll be buying the dip. That's not going to help. The first place I'm looking is right off of this prior, like pre-market low at 57. If we can hold a pre-market low, then it's all your regular continuation longs, ideally setting you up into something clean at 260, although I still don't favor initial breakouts on a gap up. So I'll be looking first dip buy at the pre-market low. If we lose that, yeah, starting at 252, and as long as it's above 250 on Tesla, plenty of places to look for some continuation long.
Yeah, here we go right here. We wrote down Tesla 250 to 252 long, so I already have the bid there sitting there at 250, 250. Hopefully it will fall back into those levels. I think you want to dip by. We always want to try to hold that 250 level. We talked about that last week, and it was like as long as we can get above there, then this is looking like, and again, I'll probably have to minimize this a little bit. There it is, maximize it. If we can get above 250, which we've done right now, there's that level. We actually mentioned this on Friday when we were debating going long into that, and we were like, well, we have that 250 area, but there it is right there, 251.50. That looks like the bottom. Now you're starting to break higher. This again looks, if it didn't have all of the political issues there, we're trying to figure out what Elon's role exactly is with this company and with Doge, and when's he coming back, and when's he, not that he ever left, but when's the focus going to be there? I think the long is here today for sure, up 4% against a strong NASDAQ. I could see a pullback to 200 periods, 255, but I'm waiting at 250, 250. So hands off this stock until it comes back in. There's no way I'm shorting this name. I didn't even look at short levels. So if you're going short this name early, I think that's a huge mistake. I think Tesla definitely, can get its, legs under it and go. And we've seen that happen numerous times. Even just on Friday, we wound up having a good day. And of course there was rebalancing, but that opened up at 235. And then before it was 950, you're up $10 at 244 and change, right? So that was a nice move, up $8-9 in the first 10 minutes. 20 minutes, then the fallback. It will give you opportunities. Like, this is actually the easiest trade right there, falling back in to pre-market highs again. So that could be a trade for sure, looking at all of that. So yeah, we're excited for Tesla here today, up that 4.28%. I'm not going short, only looking long.
That might fall in that category this morning. Boeing looking great here after a big move up back on Friday. Thursday, if you remember, was kind of sideways. Wednesday was the day that we got that announcement of the defense contract going Boeing's direction here. But what is that, 183.50, I guess, the high from Friday. Going to be tested here in a matter of moments, it would seem, for Boeing.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see when that happens when we ring the bell here. So the reason it's up so much, they've got a new aircraft named the F-47. It's the next generation air dominance fighter. It's going to operate alongside the F-22, and the contract goes to Boeing, beating out Lockheed Martin. We already looked at the stock price there. Boeing up about 5%, Lockheed about down 7%. We'll keep an eye on that. Now, this doesn't really help the Seattle operations of Boeing. The fighter jets are made in Missouri, Brendo, so it's a bit of a different look there. The F-47 is going to have a lot of different features, stealth, advanced and sensors, cutting-edge engines. That's all great, but Elon Musk taking to social media, basically voicing his skepticism, advocating for cheaper drone-based solutions, much like the ones that are employed in China and in the war in Europe right now that we're watching unfold. So we'll have to see if this fits the bill, so to speak.
Yeah, on that, both Boeing and Airbus coming out this morning as well, saying they were looking at all kinds of different ways to improve their manufacturing process, lighter, cheaper materials that will improve the speed of the actual building process. They want to get to 100 units per month, Boeing was saying. So that's a lot of planes.
That's a lot.
It didn't give a time frame, but the goal is 100 planes a month, guys.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you got to set yourself some lofty goals. And good for Boeing. It's a great bounce that Boeing is having now, regardless of... it's hard to disagree when Musk is like, oh, you want to have things that are more unmanned and drone. Like, that's... I don't think anyone's disagreeing that that's the future. But at the end of the day, you got to talk about the levels. I want to say, yeah, Boeing's going to go. It's going to break out. This is it for Boeing. It's finally made the bottom. It still needs to chew through the top of the 180s and then the 190. On a daily chart, it's been a brick wall up here. And because you're above 180, you can't ignore it. Any continuation today runs you into this resistance zone. I don't know if you get there. Like, there's a couple of names that I think show some relative weakness, and we've talked about them already in here, potentially in China, a couple of names in there, and then SMCI in particular. But if you get to $190 today, let's just say we end up with a 5, 6, 7% type day in Boeing, I'd be looking for a reversion up there. Long term, I think once you break out of that zone, you can zoom the chart even further back. It's got a nice area you can chew through. But I don't want to chase Boeing up in this range for sure. So it's kind of funny because when Sean was like, oh, I don't see any levels that I would even want to short Tesla, I was like, well, the 200 period's not that far away on Tesla on the daily chart. And I looked up and it was like, oh, that's at like it was at $285. I'm like, yeah, that's 10% away. So it's like Tesla would have to go 10%, but Boeing could go 4 or 5%. That's more reasonable. That actually could get to 190 today for a fade. So I think that's at least possible. It's not front of the mind at all, but you can't ignore that on the daily.
All right, just wanted to, we talked a little bit about Boeing there. And all right, so right here, the Valley Palms, a couple, thank you so much for the super chats. We'll drop those down there. 2 today. All right, so RGC. So the thing about this is is, first of all, I can't believe you're still holding this. Congratulations that you're there from $10. I mean, what a name RGC has been right there. Again, after reporting good results on October the 28th, we've just been getting some nice upsides there. But RGC, what I'm seeing right here, just according to what we're doing, is again a relatively new name coming through. It's the short flow. It's the shares outstanding, which is only 13 million. Where did I see it? Anyways, it's on here somewhere. Shares outstanding only 13 million. The short flow doesn't seem right, only 0.16. But again, this name just keeps on going. There it is, 13 million. Shares outstanding. So this name just continues to go. Only 2 million in cash, only 8 million in total assets. So I don't, again, when these sort of bioscience names start to go like this and you're still, exceeding another move up, on down halts, remember, like these are just sort of functions of the market, right? So it's like market mechanics. Like if I was still long $10, I wouldn't be because I'd probably be out. But, looking at $60 as maybe your stop. I don't really know what to say, Valley. Like when you're in this name and it's ripping like this and you're up another 20% and it kind of looks like this, at any moment, any of these bids could be gone and then you're out of there. So I would say look to take something off today and then, the best advice I have about runners like this, and this is kind of what we did with Palantir a hell of a long time ago, is that you just play with house money. So you take some money out when you're up 6 or 7 times, because then, if you put in 10 grand at $10, right now it's worth 70 grand. So if you just take your 10 grand out right now, then you've still got, the majority of your position. You'd only be taking out 16%, right? 1/6 of your position, and then holding the rest. So I don't know if you're still in or not, but to me, on a story that I don't know that much about, unless this is some sort of a cure-all drug or something like that, or whatever they're working on, I would stay away and take out whatever is in your pocket now. And then that way, if the market, or take out double, like, you've got in 10 grand, take out 20 grand, and then hold 40 in there. Like, I don't know. I just think it's buy yourself a nice sweater or something and watch out for that. So that would be what I would do.
You can buy like a...
buy a polo. All right, so what's going on right now? We didn't get to talk about Rigetti a little bit. So with only 4 minutes to go, we still have a little bit of time. We don't need to panic too much. I have Rigetti down here at 9. If Rigetti comes down into this level, it's something I like. That would be the low, or the high, of Fridays. So if we get back into some support levels, that's good. Rigetti was actually a pretty good trade, right? Holding off 850 and then eventually bumping at the end of the day. So if there's any love for quantum today, and we do get a pullback, that would be a level. We may just have to break the top on a name like Rigetti if you really did like it. So we actually have to go back a little bit further. And that was right here. I was just thinking about $10. Like that, again, move down, no surprise. Whenever it's like, oh, this week is a big quantum week, expect something like this to happen. And then as everything settles down and we can get back to regularly scheduled programming, I think this continues to work a little bit higher. So Rigetti, QBTS, IonQ, they're all kind of the same for me, but I was just going to choose Rigetti a little bit there. Already 2 million shares. And there's not much on here. I know my guy over here, Joe, likes TSLL. I'll just trade the big boy, but it's on there as a buy. So we'll see if that has anything to do with Tesla stock.
No love for QBTS?
Yeah, no, I have.
What's interesting?
I like all the quantum names.
Well, what's interesting specifically about QBTS, it's always on the locator. The other ones don't seem to be there, but for whatever reason, there is always some kind of a.
Yeah, what's the volume on this one? It's only 2.5 million.
But it's the thing; it doesn't do more volume than Rigetti. There's just always an imbalance that you've got to at least factor in. Look, QBTS, I have this one up. And it's just mostly because you had a $9 high. But you can pick any of these. IonQ, I would wager to say that for day traders, Rigetti and QBTS tend to be the best, just in terms of volume and the types of moves they have. But I don't know if you get the support at $8. It just has to drop way too far, I think, to get you to the Friday support levels. All that said, if you can break out these highs, it's like a $9 move. I think you have a lot of gap to be filled. Like Nvidia, I want to see it hold the open and not give up the notion of a dip buy early. Because if it does do that, like fill in the gap kind of pull, then you have plenty on the way back in that you can fade with. And look, if it gets to like something crazy, like $11 is obvious. If we do a 20%, 30% kind of day, I'm looking to fade up at that top. But yeah, QBTS looks strong. It does have that buy imbalance. We mentioned a few other strong names in there. Whoops, I do this all the time. How many times have I typed in like New York for a NASDAQ stock? Palantir up 2.5 points today, looking at 91. It's just where it closed on Friday. He had that run up at the end of the day, but the thing that Palantir has going for it is its multi-level resistance 90 to 91. You just go all the way back on this 15-minute chart. You can see it, or maybe pull it up on the daily. Like this regained the 50 period, and from that initial March bounce, you've got some levels in here. You've got the 90, 91, 94, which is more of a breakout. So I'm looking dip buy into 91 on Palantir. Similar setup to Tesla, really, and that 250 to 252 area. So it's going to be a wild Monday. There's the sea of green, just like there was this weekend when Michigan State and
Did they win last night? I was watching.
Oh, you better believe they won. And the #1 dunker in the entire NCAA, Cohen Carr, having another good game. But I'm a Michigan State guy, so I just love that team. Let's ring that bell, Adara, because it's a Monday. The market is up, and it's brought to you by WorkSport, WKSP on the NASDAQ. Shout out to WorkSport. Let's ring it in 2 and 1. Wow. Okay, see, the mallet got a little bit nervous there. It's falling apart all over itself.
Oh, was it? I missed that.
It literally fell apart before she even rang the bell.
All right,
which
well.
Sometimes it happens. So we'll see if we get that.
All right, so let's go.
Palantir's starting to come down. Maybe we
Is it? Okay, yeah, I was going to say the NASDAQ is falling down a little bit, so let's look at some names that we don't mind looking at here today, and that's going to be Nvidia. So, again, a lot of bad wicks to the downside. Oh, that sucks. Shoot. All right, so we'll wait, man. 119 is the 200 period. We'll wait to see if there's anything going on right there as we dance around two bills. AMD 110, nice move upside today as well. Fading back just a little bit here for AMD. Tesla was going to be on our mind, man. We said that we'd have to trade this one. There it is, coming right back in right now, real quick, man, into 256 goes Tesla. Let's be patient and wait for 252, but you are bouncing off the 200 period moving average. That's not a horrible level at all for Tesla. Our Amazon, a name that's going to be the #1 name on our watch list today, on my sticky note, not on the watch list today, but there goes Amazon. Look at that, man, the #1 long, and the only thing that basically didn't dip at all right there, but there it goes, breaking through 200, and now it's gone. Bye-bye Amazon. I mean, the one name, we wanted Amazon and we wanted Meta off the bottom. Didn't really get either one. We bought some S&P, but
Tesla.
There it goes right now. Tesla's finally going through 260. Yeah, so there it is, man.
Right.
Look at that. We just talked about that. So some of these dip buy opportunities today, yeah, man, seem to be pretty good off the open.
IBIT didn't dip at all. So I was looking over to see if we get continuation in Bitcoin and completely sideways on IBIT, but Tesla, yeah, looks like it managed to hold that pre-market low. Let's see if it can continue to do that. I did want to go over to SMCI because that was the only thing I was like, yeah, I want to be short SMCI on pops. It's down 4%. Ooh, missing some data there. But SMCI breaking through the lows on a downgrade. So I might have to look for VWAP. I'll have to throw that up on another chart to make sure we have VWAP right. But we can get a bounce, maybe pre-market lows or VWAP to try to jump in on SMCI. Apple also relatively low, or weak, I should say, as Apple breaks down. You know what? I had Apple written down for 223, 224 to short pops because it never broke through that March 10th initial bounce area, but it's breaking lows. So again, there's just didn't get dip buys in the stocks we wanted long and didn't get the pop to fade the ones that we want short. It's kind of one of those types of mornings. Going to have to play it a little bit patient. QBTS is flat out not moving. It gets barely going anywhere. It's holding, but I'm sitting here and I'm actually not even seeing a bunch of prints on it. So D-Wave, very light volume so far. We're going to have to look to get into Tesla. It's now broken 260.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is a good oh boy moment here. 199, 199.79 or so here for our trade in Amazon. So I just want to say, look at Mara. Mara right here. We're in it. First of all, the first position for me right now is going to be Amazon. We're in it. But look at Mara right there, man. Nice little bounce to the upside, 320. So there goes Mara, nicely cooking today with NASDAQ going back upside, and of course, right down here, Bitcoin 87.6 and ripping right now a lot higher. So I'm in. This is 201. We might as well get something out at 201 if we do get up here for Amazon. I'm just going to see about it supporting. We're going to go to Adair in a second. I'm just going to see about this supporting 200. If we break 200, that's sort of the pre-market low for right now is what I'm going to be looking at, basically the open low. So if we break Amazon 2 bills, we're out of that one. I know Neil's in SMCI.
Oh, that was a keystroke error.
Okay,
hit the wrong stock. I punched out.
Okay, good. So out of that, just wanted to talk about it before we went to Adara. So right now, only Amazon long, and Adara's got something for us.
and OKLO. Oklo actually reporting earnings after the bell today. They have about a 14% short float, and this morning announcing that they've engaged here with the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission with regards to a pre-application readiness assessment. So Oklo here trying to get, I guess, some nuclear regulatory approval for its combined license application for one of its facilities, guys. OKLO earnings tonight. Back to you.
Oh, that's going to be a good one. That's the Sam Altman nuclear play. But look, I keystroked into SMCI and thankfully was able to get a bunch of it right away. I went to offer another stock and offered this one and double offered, was able to punch out. SMCI want to be waiting for highs. That was the plan of action, which is 42.5. Tesla is giving us no entry. At this point, it looked like it was about to, I mean, it did kind of dip in here into 260. No, where am I sitting? What do we get? Oh, I'm at 33. Didn't get filled down there. It did dip after failing through 261. So we'll wait to see if we can get back in. It's just a stair step to the upside type of trade. 60, the pre-market highs. 59, VWAP also going to be in play. Palantir is pulling back, oddly enough.
Yep.
So this might actually give a dip buy into some of those prior lows. So Palantir definitely on watch as it gets down to 91 is the first look. It's at 92 right now. So we actually might get a dip buy here into Palantir. Looking for mean revert. The market is sliding a little bit lower here. Like, it's not like we're pulling back heavy. You're above VWAP on the NASDAQ, so you're still in that nice little trend up. But do not want to be buying any highs when this is happening. And want to make sure anything that's relatively weak, we're patiently waiting for our price levels. So Palantir probably needs to get at least to 92, if not lower. And I want 260s if I can on Tesla.
All right, we're taking whatever. We took 30 cents right there. We got out at 87s on Amazon. We're going to try to wait, like we said, to see if we do get a little bit of a pop in Amazon. It's already been up here. So we would have liked to have bought more down there. I was waiting for a little bit lower. I was actually waiting at $200.15. Lowest it gets to is 19. That's fine. As right now, you're just dancing around. So a couple ins, a couple outs right there for Amazon. We'll start to stack up a little bit for now, but we think there's more to come here, especially if this NASDAQ does eventually get going. I like this name. The other name there, we were looking at Mara. Mara's gone. It's 87.3 while Mara's already gone. We'll have to wait for a little bit of a pullback. I'm just trying to focus on some of these names that we had written down here. Amazon, Tesla, Rigetti, Mara, Nvidia. So here comes Nvidia pulling back in quite nice. The 200 period right here could be traded for sure down to 119.50. So we'll have a strong look at that if and when that comes through. But for me, for Nvidia, still waiting honestly for a little bit lower to see if there's any play there. TQs are coming right into VWAP. So that could have been bought as well right there. The 200 period coming into play, but it's the NASDAQ really that I'm looking at. So that was a nice move right back into 20,200. Let's see if that continues to hold. It looks like we should have dip bought Tesla because that's now taking, wow, 263. So there goes Tesla. Basically no red candles at all. So it's like when I'm talking about dip buying, you would have just been able to dip buy for 1 minute and then it closed higher the very next minute. Every single candle here since open, despite the very first candle, has been green. So Tesla continuing to go. Look, man, I said we're not even looking short on Tesla. So mission accomplished on that one as that just keeps on going. Come on, Amazon. Honestly, like this is the one that's going to make my day already. We've already talked about that. We're looking for this one to break a little bit higher and then an average into 200. Palantir always looked at, but again, like, how far can we go? I think we can get a lot lower than where we are right now. I mean, I was actually looking at $90 down here for Palantir today. Not that that's going to hit, but like 91 is where we closed. So I was kind of just looking at some of these tops to say if disaster did strike in the name, where could we get long? So it's only 938. Pretty comfortable here holding this 30 pennies now for us on Amazon. But other than that, just trying to look around, man, to see if there's anything. Micron.
I got to guess quantum names are, well, if you're looking at Rigetti, it's got to be going. QBTS is now 10% to the upside and looking to join this one. There we go. Looking to join this on any kind of a dip. It did hold above Friday's highs. Wanted to make sure it cleared that out, but now that it's above, look to fill the gap into at least $10. Palantir, I thought we'd get down to 91 the way that it was relatively weak. It just does not seem to be happening. And Tesla, yet to find any dips on Tesla. It's only been the rip to the upside. So QBTS, at least it's close enough to $9 to potentially get an entry in here. Let's go to Adair.
Just keep an eye here on MLGO. This is a frequent repeated small cap runner this morning here, announcing the pricing here of a share offering about 8 cents per share for the total amount of $20 million. Right now, nice push to the upside, 80% short float, and we do have about a 4.5 million share float for MLGO. Just a reminder, in about 5 minutes, we're going to be getting some S&P PMI data. I will be giving that to you guys. Back to you.
All right. I mean, we're already all over this stock already. I mean, we're going to have the big one right now for myself anyways here with our friend and your friend and maybe all of our friends at this point, Amazon. What a great stock that is. It's your chicken dinner winner. Now $1 in the money right there. The thing is, man, it's just one trade for me today. It's that simple. Find the best trades, have confidence, get the hell in them, and go. And there it goes, man. 3 ins, now $1 in the money. That's just what we're doing right there with Amazon as it continues to climb higher and higher. So that's going to be a good trade for sure. Let's just let this keep going, man. I mean, I don't have any reason right now to get out of Amazon. So it's at day's high. It's been a huge move. It is $1 in the money. There goes Amazon, your number one traded name today, your number one name off the P&L for me there. Only one stock we've been in, man. It's going to be Amazon, and we're pretty happy with its performance there. Again, Nvidia looked at. Mara, we talked a little bit about that one as well. Gone, right? There was the pullback into VWAP. We should have looked at that a couple minutes ago. Unfortunately, we were too busy looking at Amazon, which we shouldn't have been, because it's just working for us. We don't need to do too much with that. Micron, again, earnings name from last week. Didn't perform well last week, right? But nice little bounce up, and there you go today, up 3%. Micron, nice move there. Again, earnings 110 falls back in there on Thursday, Friday. Now you're trying to go back up through the 50 period. Micron trying to go right now as well. I don't want to just rest on this trade because the futures have just gone top to bottom again. So, or sorry, I guess bottom to top, and as well as top to bottom. So could have a little bit of a pullback, hence why we do have a couple outs up here on Amazon. You know, taking it out, still relatively early days now in the market, so let's wait to see if this does give us any pullbacks. I thought Disney
Tesla's trying to now.
Tesla's trying to pull back or trying to go? Okay, well, we'll look at Tesla there right now. I don't know if you've been in anything other than SPCE.
Not yet.
But Disney with a good Snow White.
I thought it was bad.
No, it was number one in the box office.
But I said it was still disappointing.
Oh, was it? I don't know. Number one there. But anyways, up 0.4. I just want to look at it because we were around $100 for Disney. But here we go, man. Like I said, the big trade alert here today with Neil hasn't really been in anything is Amazon. So yeah, one trade today for the two of us, and it's 940. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, wow, Palantir is going to break out. All right, I guess we'll switch gears. No, Tesla is pulling back. I'm looking for VWAP as usual and then pre-market highs. You didn't really get any gap to be filled, but Palantir, it just didn't go deep enough. We wanted it starting at 91. Not going to happen. 94 is also a level on Palantir. Hopefully on a 15 you'll be able to see. I guess I can't really, you can kind of, 94 is resistance on Palantir. Probably have to use a 30-minute chart for you to see. On the daily chart, it's obvious. I'd rather not take a breakout trade and be able to join this somewhere off of VWAP or the prior low. That's going to be the plan of action. Apple I still have for relative weakness. So I'm not touching this one to the long side. I just heard you say Apple. It's Tesla that's starting to come back in here, and this could be our first chance at VWAP on Tesla 260. The other one is D-Wave at $9. I'm sitting at 06. I do believe on D-Wave. I might consider nibbling in if it starts bouncing off 10s or something just to get something involved in front of the $9 level in case it doesn't actually get all the way to $9. And I might think the same thing with Tesla. If it starts holding 60.5 to 61, I'd work in at that price as well. So the market still not doing a heck of a lot in terms of breaking out. And as I said, QBTS might just happen to get here before Tesla on this dip buy. So I'm going to look for it to hold VWAP, nibble in front of 910 first, and then see what happens at the 9 even area after that. Going to make the assumption Rigetti is looking pretty strong as well, but this is the one I wanted.
Yeah, 64, 70, 60. I was just looking at the TQs because we are getting a little bit of a drop down right now. I was looking at this 60. Basically, again, we have some of these bad wicks, but I was thinking about the bottom there against this 200 period of 64, 450. So I'm going to put some bids down there just in case, because we do have some PMI numbers coming. We could get a little bit of a flash. So we'll wait to see with the stop at 64, 48 or something, or 64.48, right, there for the TQ. So I'm going to put a bid right into here, 64.80s. If we can get that, then we'll watch out for 64.50 and try to average into that one if we need to, right there for the TQQs. So we'll wait to see if there is going to be anything on that in case we do get a dip buy coming through. We do have that number coming out at 9:45, just looking to see what that is. Again, it's, S&P manufacturing PMI for March. So we'll have a quick look at that. Expected 51.8. So if that does come in, obviously Adair will be having that in just less than 1 minute. So we'll watch out for that if it does come in. Yep, we do also have Amazon pulling back in a little bit as well. So a couple outs up top. We still have more than half of this Amazon position, but around that level. All right, Adair, 30 seconds.
Before we get to the numbers, I also want to mention here, keep an eye on Doximity, DOCS. This one getting hit with a short report. Not a lot of move on that, but keep an eye on DOCS. We will be getting here in just about 17 seconds. S&P Services PMI, Manufacturing PMI, and Composite PMI for the month of March. Services PMI expected to come in exactly in line with the previous print. Manufacturing PMI, we're expecting a little bit lower. And same with S&P Composite PMI. So let's see what happens here. The more closely watched numbers are going to be services and manufacturing. Services here coming in above expectations, 54.3 versus 51 expected. S&P Manufacturing PMI, 49.8 versus 51.8 expected, so lower than expectations. And S&P Composite PMI, well above expectations here, 53.5 versus 51.3. So just to recap, services and composite here above estimates, manufacturing PMI below estimates. And here is, this is Doximity. We'll take a look here at the market, which is pushing a little bit lower here, a bit of a double top here, getting slightly, I guess, above our pre-market high, but trying, I guess, as of right now, still making some higher lows here for the Qs. This is our really only major economic data print of the day, that we do have some Fed speak later in the afternoon, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, the Bs are out. Bostic and Barr later on in the session. We will definitely see them. That whatever happened just there, a little bit of a spike at the highs or through the highs and then right back in. Well, Tesla did not give us that entry. We were headed back down to VWAP or maybe 261, and you just broke out the top on Tesla. And we still don't want to chase this move. QBTS, we didn't get any fills. When that crazy wick happened, we didn't get any fills on the bid in front of VWAP. Did get one out in front of 220 or 927 into 30s. Still going to buy the dip into VWAP, only need one bid, not two. And so we'll reload QBTS if we can get it. Palantir failed its breakout, but is still looking okay. Like, it went down underneath 94 on that PMI number and is still actually holding above it. So there's still a chance that this might be a clean close above 94 and continuation play, but the plan was to dip by Palantir, so it's still going to be VWAP or those lows. Has to hold above 94 to join this high. Otherwise, dip buys in QBTS. Tesla got to form a different plan. It's headed to 265. And Apple, yikes. Apple's still holding lower highs. This one looks a little bit weak to me. Not going to short it just yet. Going to focus on Tesla and QBTS, as those have been just trending to the upside clean.
Yeah, we're 2 for 2 right now as we got Nvidia at that low as well. So there we go, man. 120 long on Nvidia right now. So we'll go not bearish, man. We're going bullish right now as we go long. The dollar comes right back in, man. The cat came back the very next day. So did the dollar right there for Amazon. So we stick with our strength right now, and that is going to be AMZN right now. Number one today for myself, Amazon, as we look at that. And then there we go again, Neil. Look at this, man. We start the different weeks, same stuff. Right now, that's 50 cents right there. 2 for 2, man. We're in the money, $1.50 right now on these two positions. So I know it's a little light over there, but we've got some big wins over here right now. And let's just wait to see what can wind up happening. There goes Amazon and there goes Nvidia right there back up to the upside. We do not get that dip buy opportunity at all for us in the NASDAQ, but okay, we went there, we go strength, man, and we take Nvidia and Amazon. Nvidia just right back into the day's high, so let's wait to see. This one could definitely fall out. I was getting my stop order set for 119.50, so it was about 50 cents worth of risk. We just took that 50 cents, so 1-to-1 there early, but we're not really looking at ratios right now because of this market. We're happy just sort of, there we go, we'll take another 25 out. We're just happy kind of scalping in and out right now because we've already got the big dog on board. forward. And I don't know, man, a lot of you last week saw sort of the trades that we had out, that I've had on, and then here it is again right now. It is your number one trade right there, and it's going long on Amazon. So there it is right there. Amazon long, we have the Tesla long, we have the Rigetti long, so Neil's in QBTS, Mara, and then there's Nvidia. So we are on 2 of our 4-5 names right now and really starting to go. But look at Nvidia pulling back. This is the one where I want to be here in case it goes. It's still stronger than the market, but it is not like the rest, man. It is pulling back in right now into days. I mean, days low, we're still a little ways away. We do want to average into that, but yeah, coming back in right now is Nvidia. So yeah, let's be careful. We still got Amazon. Amazon's the big dog, but we are going to average into Nvidia down to 119.50. So if we get an opportunity to do that, we're going to do that. I'm actually bidding 70s. It just went down into 80s there for Nvidia.
Yeah, Nvidia, I'm a little surprised when you said that. And we're going to get to Intel in a quick little second. Palantir broke well away from 94, still trading to the upside. We just, for the first time, got a reload in D-Wave here, as it's making some higher lows with a little bit of resistance in the 935 range. So scalp the range. I'm going to already offer up top here at 960, and you'll see why. Go to last week. It's different from a lot of stocks because I'm eyeballing the floor from last week, this 960 or for most of the week, as the out. So it's a bit of a gap down underneath. There was that quantum event, and it dipped off the quantum event. So that 960 level going to be the out for me for profit taking. Hopefully we can, you know what? You don't always want stocks to come down. I'm not saying I want Palantir to go down. Anyone that's long, congratulations. But we'd still like there to be a red candle because there still hasn't been one off of these highs. The stock just going and going and going. So I don't mind getting into this. It's got to be 94, at least for now. And oddly enough, not to pick on Intel, but we always talked about stocks that are breaking away from Friday's highs and resistance. Intel isn't. And so if it's not breaking out and the market is, then it's relatively weak. When I look at these highs, 24.75, 24.8, I don't know about that wicked 25. I think you work off of these levels first. If this market shows any kind of weakness, then Intel, for me, is the curl. Just want to wait to see for that to materialize here. Yeah, not going to be dip buying this stock. The second Sean said Nvidia wasn't going as much as he liked, I went over to see if Intel was still short. And it looks like a short to me. Failed break of the high early and making lower highs as we speak. We'll let it show us the top of the range again and then look to get involved on that. So reload on QBTS in front of 9. Going to dip buy in front of 94 on Palantir. And Tesla now at 267. Maybe it is going to get to $280.
Probably, yeah. That short was crazy if anyone took that. Right there, Amazon, right now $1.50 in the money. So again, like completely in the comfort zone right now, ringing the register, man. We'll be carrying those money bag yos out of here because there it goes. It's a good one. We continue to be long on that. So yeah, man, good days. Bad days here for our friend though, which of course is Nvidia just hovering. So we got another piece out right there, 120.30 in the last 3 minutes. Let's see if we're able to get one more piece out as well down here for Nvidia. And we will average in. We don't want to like completely fall down here. Let's wait for like let's go to 119. Like 65, and then we'll wait to see if it holds that 50 area. If it doesn't, fine, we can get away from it. But I'm going to sit there and see if we can average back into the 200 period and let it go. But oh boy, there it goes again, man. Not making me feel one ways about getting all these Amazon packages right now, because thanks for the free year of Prime right there, Amazon, because you are still motoring back up to the upside. Now, Randy, $1.70 in the money as the number one trade idea. Obviously, as QBTS I know is moving around, but this one's a big one here for Amazon, starting to go upside now. AMZN, man. You know, when we've got a good trade on, this is going to be a good one. So there it is, man. We made our day on Amazon, 1 for 1 there, and then we'll hold out to see if Nvidia wants to do anything. Already out for 1-to-1 risk, looking to get a little bit more in, but Amazon is the key, and Nvidia is not, man. We got to figure this one out because Nvidia is coming in quite nice, and there it is. Our last hurrah for Nvidia, just getting long right now against 119.50. Let's see if it holds. That's it, man. Nvidia's in. Let's see what winds up happening. We're long right now at 68.
Yeah, as Nvidia comes in, I'm now offering VWAP on Intel. If the chips are,
Oh boy,
at least some of the chips are going to be weak, then I want to play off that. Tesla is now way too far. It's just so far gone up here at 267. You can pretty much stick a fork in it. Palantir, I don't think has gone too far because Palantir just want to give it a little bit more juice. I think 95 still gives you a chance. I'm still sitting at 94, oddly enough.
Oh boy, Neil.
As this one just cannot continue to go. QBTS, we've already taken one profit zone. We're going to hang on, but it needs to break out those highs. So I don't want to be chasing, not going to do it. And I am still looking at SMCI, which I say this all the time. If you get into a trade accidentally, get right out. But the thesis still working on SMCI. I thought we'd get 42.5. It, like most other names, it like some of the other chip-related names, is holding on to some weakness. That prior top at 41.75. Still rather see it make some lower highs to be able to get in, but still looking pretty good. QBTS, we're going to go 1 for 1 on that. But remember, I did keystroke, and that was a legit keystroke on SMCI. I lost money on it. Thankfully, I was able to get the bulk out instantly and only hold on to a little bit for that press up. But if you get in accidentally, do not force to trade. Do not hold on to it, even though it would have worked. So another bounce off of QBTS VWAP. Going to look for the next candle to hold, and then we reload it one more time. Nice bull flag. Still think 960 the target.
All right, guys. It's been a good morning. You know, we did some, we thought about it this weekend, and it's like, to sit here and celebrate these wins, you guys already know what's good. You can see our trades at the bottom, what if we're making money, not making money or not. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, yo, Amazon's huge, Nvidia's huge. You guys can see that. So let's just go on to the next stock as we get more out here at 120. You know what? All right, get something out at O2s. I mean, we just broke above. I'm offering O2s. Give me those O2s. Yes, there it is. Okay. So again, we've already sort of planted the seed here with Nvidia and with Amazon being on our sticky notes. So I hope if you guys do follow any of the socials, man, at Trader TV, Sean, go follow all of us because these names and these winners are here, right? Neil will just be in QBTS as he's already explained SMCI. So again, judge us on our positions, and this is what we have. So all right, what about Roblox? I'm seeing Roblox here again. Another name that I spent more money on this weekend, 6180s. So pulling back just a little bit. Again, like the name, still have a little bit left from the summer, or I guess it was almost a year ago, springtime, heading into summer, where we're long in the 30s. So that's still pretty good. It did make that move all the way up to 75.80, but then it did come right back down and did not break the 200 period. So I like Roblox here, but only up 1% so far today. So RBLX. What about that RG? What was that one that we got? RGC? Yeah, that was it. Let me see what's going on right now. There it is, man. So at the open, Valley, something, Prime Valley, something like that. I said just offer 70s, man. It looks like that 70 might have got missed. And there you did. You have a lot of opportunities to get out. There's the halt at 56, makes the move down to 42, man. So as I was talking about when we looked at this earlier on, to get a little bit out and then figure out what happens next. I don't know what the share size is you're dealing with, but there goes RGC. Nice downside pressures today. But, oh, man, 99 problems, Neil. Trading A1 for over here because there it goes right now. 203, my guy, Joe. I know this guy's liking Amazon. We're liking Amazon. There's Amazon. We talked about it for the long-term account last week. And right there, Neil, this is by far right now. Day's goal hit alone on this one. And then we also have the other banger with Nvidia that's right here right now. So just a couple looks, man. And there it goes. What's going on with you in QBTS?
Same old. It's exactly at the same spot it was before. We got one profit take, about half. What did we get? Halfway to our goal, which was 960. So we got a 933, and we're looking to see if it can't break out. I just reloaded a second ago. The other thing I'm watching, I want to short Intel, and if we get VWAP, we get it. At this point, Palantir is an absolute. It's just a monster, but it did just do a topping tail candle. So it does seem like it's topping out. I'm not shorting the name. The plan is still to buy the dips as long as it's above 94. If you want to chase it, there's your level on the daily. Again, it did dip to 92, but I thought wrong was at 90. And if wrong is at 90, I'm not going long 92 change on Palantir. Just way too much room to be able to give it. And Palantir is not the only one we want to grab. It is going to be Tesla. Tesla's up 7%. I'm not chasing it. I know we joked around about $280. It's not impossible. If I saw maybe the mid-70s, I'd probably think short. But as long as it can pull back here and we're close enough to 260, we'll jump in off of VWAP. That's going to be the next thing we work into. Again, the only thing I want to look short is going to be Intel, because I think SMCI is gone. But this dip in Tesla, either it holds the trend or gives me VWAP. Once you give me 3 points to work off of, which at least now it is, either you hold trend or you pull back into VWAP, and it gets a little bit binary for me. So Tesla was the one that we wanted. It didn't give us the dip. At least it did. It just didn't give us one that let us get an entry that we liked. So we're going to wait for VWAP in here and see if we can't grab that bad boy, as Tesla's a beast. IBIT, disappointing. I've scratched that one off the list. You haven't even moved $1,000 in either direction on Bitcoin, so I don't see if there's going to be much of a trade here on IBIT. Disappointing, to be sure, because I thought we'd do a little more juice out of crypto today.
All right. We'll just come back over here and see what's going on. All right. Nvidia. So, again, kind of the same talk. We took the lot out at the top. We're almost out of Amazon right now. Amazon being $3 is what it is right now. I mean, I don't know if this market tells you what's going on, but I think it's been a pretty good market so far here today. Nice upside play, and I just want to make sure that we do get out. The NASDAQ being up 1.8%. I think we've done the best for all of that. Thank you, Jeffrey, for the Master Trader comment. That is for sure. We'll take that one. And I just think that I'm just showing you that this can be done, right? I mean, this is what we're doing. This is why I'm on the show, to give you guys winners. Others will be on the show, analyze things, talk about different things. But, generally speaking, this is what we're doing. Both of us are trying to find the best opportunities. Whether or not they win or lose, I don't, we just put them on. So hopefully you guys can sit there, try to figure this out, and get going, right? So it's been a light day. It's been a light day for trading. So let's just figure out what's going on right now. Nvidia is trying to go back up. If we can get $1 on this one, then great. But other than that, man, so far so good. Let's go over to Adara. It's 10 o'clock.
Keep an eye here in the markets. Here is the NASDAQ pushing into day's highs here around 490. Then we have the S&P 500 also. Nice push to the upside. We do have here some talks now that tariffs, which are going to be announced, or the reciprocal tariffs announced next week, April 2nd, are apparently going to be a little bit more measured than was initially feared or expected. Keep an eye here as well on Boeing, BA on watch. Nice move for this one on Friday, and it did gap up. That was giving back some of these moves on Friday morning. Donald Trump here, president of the U.S., did announce that the Air Force is going to be moving forward with a new generation of fighter jet, with a contract being awarded to Boeing. Allclo here on watch, OKLO on watch, this nuclear ticker, reportedly in talks with a nuclear regulator, and they also are actually going to be having their earnings tonight as well. TSLA, meanwhile, pushing nicely to the upside. Tesla trying to break here a multi-week losing streak. So let's see how this tickers and this market fare, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, we're not faring. We're faring fine in this market, but this is what I'm saying. Like, in order for there to be a trade, we need to find a trade. And right now, I don't think it's the right idea to push anything, which is what I was getting at. We could sit here and look at trades for you, try to find them. But I think the dip buys, I know Neil was looking at dip buying Tesla there. I think that would probably be.
It's not going to dip.
It's not going to dip buy. I was going to say probably good on strength. And that's sort of what I was saying about sitting here and looking for trades. I've sort of made the bed right here with this one on Amazon. Let's just see. And then on the Nvidia dip buy. Oh, we can look at some financials maybe. I mean, some sectors that maybe we haven't looked at yet. So JP Morgan, nicely done, up that 2%. Fading back into VWAP could be a play there as well. I'm looking at some of these scanners. This is what's hitting Texas Instruments, Uber. We can look at Texas Instruments.
Right, IBIT's now going.
What are you going? IBIT, okay, so crypto 88, finally. That could be something as well. Yeah, look at Texas Instruments up nicely. That's 4% today for TXN, so that's going as well. You just mentioned IBIT, which I'm going to assume means Mara goes. Yeah, so there's Mara, 1330, 1335s back there to the upside. So, yeah, just looking for more. You got the SMCI and long. So the first short of the day, I guess, that got downgraded or upgraded? Remember?
SMCI was a downgrade. I don't remember by who. Not that it matters.
Today, which is nice.
Yeah, I could care less who downgrades a stock. IBIT, if it's not going to dip, then it ends up breaking out the top here. You're at 87.9. It just happens to be $50 on IBIT, but you're at 87.9 on Bitcoin. Finally making a bit of a move. As long as it holds VWAP, I want to look for continuation here. It's a 24-hour market, but the next resistance about 1% higher at 50.5 here. So we're going to get long in that. I am back over at SMCI, one of the few stocks that I like short. I just thought there was multiple areas to look short on SMCI. We got in the first time, and that was a keystroke error. This time, it's already wicked once into 42 with a 41.65 as a local high. So we're into it and giving it to that high. The first time was, I think, a mistake for sure. Even though it ended up working, it was a mistake that we got out of. So IBIT, continuation play. Let's see how far this bad boy can go. I haven't really looked too much at MAR, probably a good one. I've seen a lot of people mention MSTR. Obviously, if Bitcoin's breaking out, MSTR is having a good move as well. Up 7% today is MSTR, or micro or strategy, I guess we should call it. Also breaking the 50-period moving average. It's a big, big breakout stock. I just liked IBIT today based on the levels that we were observing. Holding that 49 and lots of room to rally. So you're going to get some orders into the 20s and 30s on the way to that 50, 60 level that we were just talking about. So SMCI not going to end up working. But the difference is this time we got it where we wanted to as opposed to the error. Got the lower high right there and then give it to that top. And if it continues to go, I'll try to short it at 42.5 on some kind of a trend reversion play for SMCI. I still think until this one breaks green, it's the only stock I'm looking short on that isn't named Intel.
Yeah, exactly. Intel. Okay, so yeah, and I think you wanted to look at relative weakness versus strength, right? Because the market's up that 1.8%, which is why I know the SMCI didn't work out, but that's a short name today. So you got to try to find the levels and quickly out. We're trying to hold on to some of these Amazon trades and Nvidia, but we are getting lighter on both of them, right? And so there's a couple good outs for Nvidia. It's not like the rest of them as it's not really going up. It has its moments where it goes. I don't know. I feel like we may just be barcoding in and around this 120 for a minute. Let me get another piece out right there at 10s. And then now we can hold the rest. We're only in right now about 20% of that trade. We're getting lighter and lighter into Amazon, and now let's look for something else. What about Boeing? Boeing was a name that we had talked about earlier on, and there's the fade out. I said about it on Friday, like I thought there was a chance this name should have been even up more than it was, but it gets to that 184 and still looks like it wants to have a problem with 187, 190. So if that can come into play right there for Boeing, that's definitely something that I think most of us will be looking at.
I think it's a short at 90.
Right, yeah, exactly. For a short anywhere up there. So we'll wait to see. That looks like 188.80. Something in and around there. So definitely some weakness coming in on Amazon, which is why we got out. We're starting to get more and more out. We only have about, I was going to say about 5 to 10% left on this one and about 20% left right here. So there is still some work to do on many of these names for me here to go. And we'll just wait to see if we do get that bump up. IBIT, as Neil mentioned there, starting to go. So he's already on that one. Coinbase, we can have a look. We wanted to look at Mara as well today. That's going to be way off some of the levels that we had talked about there with Mara. So we looked at 1250 where we were off the open. That name now way off of open levels for Mara. So again, pullbacks into VWAP, I think that's worth taking. 13.1, 13.2 there. AMD, all right, we can have a quick look up over there as some traders are looking here. We've, again, yeah, look, strength for sure. So I would say picking the wrong one today is hurt, right? I mean, AMD over Nvidia, I think AMD would have been good. We would have had the same longs, 109.70, it's now at 110.70. So these longs, if we had just sort of gone over looking at VWAP for AMD as opposed to Nvidia, we would have had a lot better luck. So let's just get flat. If this breaks 119.50, we'll still hold it just in case, but we are ready to break down a little bit flat here on NVDA if it does break lower. Let's hold out in case there is some little bit of a pop, but right now it's not looking like it here on Nvidia. So trying to play near that 119.50 if it does come through. Uber up 1% at $76. That could be a play here today as well. Uber just getting it on the scanner, so maybe it's pulling back into VWAP a little bit. Yeah, so 77, 76.50 right in the middle. I still think I want to do futures, so just trying to wait to see if we get back down into the 50 period right now. So for the TQs, that would be let's wait for 65.20 VWAP. So yeah, having a look around some of these names now.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, when that market pulled back, QBTS lost the prior high. So if you lose Friday's highs on any breakout play, that's an out for me, no matter what. Obviously, it's not going to get to 960, but we're trying to go quarters. Well, we're actually in the teens to 960. I don't want to give it more than 30 cents if our target was sitting up there at 60, which is only about 50 pennies higher. But if you start losing, well, okay, you're continuing to lose this bid. If it holds under 9, remember the rejection of $9 on Friday. This got all the way to 8. I'm not saying I'd wait till 8 to go long again. But if you're not holding Friday's tops, I don't like you. Palantir still looking very, very good. I'll do it this way. It's a lot easier. I don't have to type it in. I can just click it on my quote board. Got to utilize that so much more. I'm not making that keystroke of like New York NASDAQ. But Palantir pulling back to 95, the way the market's coming in, I don't know why I'm still sitting there at 94. VWAP is well above 94 now, so we're still going to wait patiently for Palantir to give us that. It's not a reload because we never got in at any point. Bitcoin wasn't doing anything, so we didn't do anything with it until it broke out the highs. It happened to be 50. We're long at 50.02. It's only now breaking 88. That was actually a sub 88 breakout. It just happened to be above those pre-market tops. Want to get another offer in the quarters, which I already thought I did. Target 50.60 here on Bitcoin. Oh yeah, and Intel still sucks.
Coin of bit.
Well, the problem is the market's coming down now. So the ability to get short at VWAP was probably only going to be valid if the market continued on its trend higher, and now we're in a bit of a pullback phase. We're going to have to wait for the NASDAQ to bounce, in theory, to short Intel into VWAP. It's just a fail break at the top. I don't know if that wick is real at 95 because I wasn't watching the stock at the time. It's entirely possible. But Intel, it's still a dog. I know it's up 1%, but when you're 1.6, that's just not that good. When the NASDAQ's 1.6, you're under VWAP, you're under the highs. We want to join this at some point. You know what? If we are pulling back a little bit here, you don't want to fill me at 22, then I'm going to see if I can't get the high teens here on IBIT. So the market was pulling back just a bit, so I'll get that out at 19 instead of 22, and then work for the next press higher here on Bitcoin. We're going to continue to buy dips on that. I don't know if we'll ever get Palantir or Tesla the way that they're going, but we're trying to be patient with the dips on both those names. Palantir 5%. I mean, Tesla's 7.6%.
8%.
There's just no chance I'm chasing Tesla up here when it's 7.5% to the upside. Like, that's crazy.
So, yeah, it is too much. Well, I don't know if it's too much or not. I mean, we know it can go a little bit higher than this. But, yeah, those names are already gone. So, NASDAQ. All right. Yeah, IBIT is nice. 88.2 right now. Good battle back for Bitcoin. So I think that IBIT's going to be a great trade, obviously. All right, 119. We did get stopped out of Nvidia there as it did wick that bottom. And wicked it or not, I mean, that was the stop at 119.50. So we did take a little bit more there. We just took some more at 55 and then got out once it broke at 45. So we did take a 10-cent hit on our last piece. Staying green today on Nvidia, obviously, because that last one was not a full reload, as we had sort of already looked at some weakness in that spot. There goes AMD. So congratulations to anybody that targeted that one instead of NASDAQ, instead of Nvidia. All right, it's too bad because Nvidia did bounce off that level that we were getting out on. There goes the TQs. Look at that, right into VWAP. We were going to look there, but we were getting stopped out of Nvidia at the time. So I didn't think that we wanted to reload the NASDAQ, but now we'll try that 65, 65.15 into 65, working with that bottom of the day. Let's just see if the NASDAQ wants to just sort of shake itself out a little bit right now. I did want to look at Apple. That's too bad I mean, I may get back into Nvidia because we got stopped out 30 cents ago, and there's a little bit of a bounce. So, all right, Apple, relatively weak again. So if we're going to pick on a name, short side, I do like SMCI, but you're now underneath. So maybe we need to be going short this market right now, although we're not necessarily near it for the NASDAQ. I don't know. I'm starting to feel like the NASDAQ being up 1.7 to start the week is pretty nice.
It's a lot.
Apple, it's tough to fight Apple when I am looking long here, but the NASDAQ, I might have missed that long already. So ARM is at high days. I see that. I mean, you guys, I wouldn't trust ARM. No, I've already talked about Robinhood, how much we've liked that name as that just continues to go up off 35 now to 47. Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I wasn't trying to throw cold water on ARM. It's just that for the last 2 or 3 weeks, or at least since I came back while I was gone in Florida, the volume has been really bad on ARM, relatively speaking. If you're a day trader, this is just not for you. It's done 680,000 shares. The spread is kind of trashy. There's just a bunch of other chip names that you can be in that are better day trades. It's up 5%, but AMD is so liquid. SMCI is liquid. Obviously, Nvidia is liquid. This AMD move it's a bit crazy, and it reminded me of something that I'm just going to slap the fail on for myself right now. Yeah, AMD, it broke out of this downward channel. It's now at the 50-period moving average. This is a channel we've been watching for a while.
Randy.
Now, granted, it hasn't closed above the 50-period here, so maybe not yet. But these were the conditions for a swing entry on AMD. And I mentioned Micron, if it got to 85, forget about that. AMD could be a breakout swing for me in the afternoon. We'll talk about this in the aftermarket show. But I got to start thinking about the day trade long here on AMD. First things first, manage what you have. But that was a missed opportunity. I didn't realize we were breaking that channel. You're still holding at 5.25 on IBIT, which is 88.3. There's no obvious resistance until you get to the 89 high area, like 90,000 in there. And thank you very much, Randy. Palantir, don't know what to tell you. We're not getting VWAP.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
But it is trying to break the downtrend, which is another way that I like to jump in. I love when I start drawing a trend line, and then that's right when the new bar comes in, so it ends up being in the wrong spot. So there's your trend down. It's trying to close above this little slight downward trend that we have. That's another way for me to get into it as opposed to working actually at VWAP. So the three names we wanted long was like IBIT, Tesla, and Palantir. We only got one of them in an ideal fashion here, and that was IBIT, but Palantir giving us this chance. Just close above the trend line or give us VWAP, and then we'll get it. Yeah, Tesla parabolic today.
Yeah,
really
we have a reverse dollar move here, it seems like. We just punched out of Nvidia at 119.40 as it was breaking lower. We did not have that many shares. So now I'm going to actually flip it the other way, and we could go red on Nvidia now because I'm going to go short here against 120.30. Just some of these highs that we had some problems dealing with in the past. But there it goes. It is starting to go meme crazy as we talked about it, so we don't want to layer too much into this. If there it goes, and there it goes out. Nope, almost out, almost out, almost out. As we took this short, we're short at 120.08. So this will be about a 12, yeah, I get, well, about 25-cent hit or so, depending on what happens with this on the whoosh up, right? I mean, we're going to get 120.30s. Hopefully we get a little bit, better price if this does come down. So I'm trying to get something out now at 120 or so, but this looks pretty good right here. It's starting to go back up to the upside right now goes Nvidia. So we'll be in this short. It's flat. Oops, wrong stock goes on Amazon there. It's flat right now. Let me take out a piece at 10s if we can. We do have some position on right now, but it is starting to, we can cancel that 10. It looks like it's going to hopefully come back in a little bit. I'm going to try to get something out at O's. It doesn't really want to dip. We need it to go downside right now. All these dips are getting bought as the NASDAQ's trying to figure itself out. It looks like our long on the NASDAQ was going to be right at the 50-period moving average, but we don't have it. So like I said, man, a lot of our talk are going to be some ideas, and then you guys got to be in there judging whether or not, you like it, because Neil and I, we have the ability to put on, like I said, 4 or 5 positions at once. Sometimes we'll flip them up real quick. Our stops will trigger.
Or none on Tesla.
Or none on Tesla. But at least you're in that Palantir right now. We tried to get the long on Nvidia there, but it did get stopped out near the low of the day. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem. Is SM8?
I'm actually considering at 11. If Tesla sees 280, I might take out some of what I bought.
280, yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's insane on Tesla right now. Look, I was sitting on the bid at 220, 222 while I was on vacation and happened to get picked up at that low, and I just like the 220 area. But if we do see 280 today, or at least adjacent to 280, I'm really thinking about taking a little something off. That's in the PA. I don't want to go short that today for the day trade automatically, but it just might be the first available trade on Tesla. I just didn't want to chase it, so we didn't. And that's the thing about it. Like, I wanted to go dip buy in Palantir, but be careful what you wish for. It breaks trend, but if it loses trend, I got to get out of that. And sometimes buying the high on the stronger stock, they're both strong, on the stronger stock is better than buying that dip entry. Everyone likes to buy a dip because you feel like you get a good price and all that. But Tesla, you could have literally bought any price on Tesla today, and you almost couldn't have lost. It's not 100% true because there's a few spots in there that you could have got burned. But as long as we hold on trend, which we're barely doing so on Palantir, we're going to hold this dip buy and see if we can't get to 96. I did get another out. I just saw us sort of cresting at 89. or in front of 89, but now it's kind of smooth sailing. There has not been a red candle since the breakout here on Bitcoin, or IBIT, I should say, because Bitcoin, I mean, it should be the same thing, but I haven't really looked at that chart. So still strong move here in IBIT. I do think we can get to that 50, 60 level, but wow, Tesla. Tesla is just an absolute moonshot.
Is it? Oh my God.
At this point. I'm really thinking, it's almost 10:30, and I have to start thinking about a potential reversion on this. If it gets to 280, it's so much easier. But 9% on Monday, market's up 1.8. Tesla still, and the 200 period is at that 280 level. It's just hard not to look for some kind of a short if we get at least into the mid 70s, let's just call it. So not waiting for 80 necessarily. This is ridiculous on Tesla. Ridiculous.
I'm starting to think the shorts are no good anywhere now because the market is along, right? I mean, Trump has come out here. We've talked about tariffs. We've talked about some flexibility. So on that note, man, we just had a great, now it comes out. It's too bad well, it doesn't matter, but we were getting more out there at 120. We did take an L on that position overall, but we just this broke 120. Right there to the downside, and we just started getting filled up right there on Nvidia as we start to break through the top of the day right there. It's too bad because we'll get thrown around a little bit. We only have Amazon and Nvidia today. Amazon's still $2 and that's still going higher. Well, not really, it's slowed down, but this Nvidia was a tricky one. I still like the short here as you're at some decent levels near the highs, 120.50 right now, but there it goes. There it starts to go. So lucky enough to get some out there, but it is starting to break higher. That's too bad because if we just didn't have that trade, that stop order, now we'd be still in the long, but there it goes. Nicely cooking to the upside is Nvidia and Amazon. It's only 10:20, so lots of stuff moving around right now. Oracle, Oracle's making the move downside right now, but still up on the day. This is hitting a scanner down near day's low again, just bouncing off of it. But again, Oracle retracing just a little bit as well, back down in. So futures at the high of the day. This could be a good retracement back down in the short. Like if we ever got some negative news, I mean, you're right here, right now. If you did think about something negative, then Amazon, TQs, Nvidia, they're all near the highs right now, especially these NASDAQ names. So look for potential retracement back, but right now, NASDAQ up. How much? NASDAQ 1.8, and the TQ is almost up 6%. So looking like a top take here for me. I'm thinking about going short, but again, like we were sitting here at the long, so definitely prefer the long than the short, but it's got to come in, right? I mean, these levels, it came in right there, and we missed it as we were waiting at 65. So let's try to be patient here, wait for some more short opportunities, and it looks like we're ready for a Dara over at the screen. Sector watch, maybe? Let's go find out. Is it Sector Watch?
Small cap.
Small cap. Okay, so let's go find out what small caps are dancing around.
Beautiful look here for the IWM, pushing nicely here out of some resistance from late last week. Still up, though, less than 1%, or I guess, sorry, we're up here about 2% of the day. We're up nicely here on the day, near day's highs here. Apologies for my vision there. Keep an eye here in Amprius Technologies, pulling back a little bit, but still near day's highs here for AMPX. Day 2 earnings play. They posted earnings on Thursday evening with some positive analyst notes on Friday morning. Then we have NAK. This ticker has run in the past, and today, this morning, Northern Dynasty released a press release basically commenting on Donald Trump's decision to sign an executive order to increase America's mineral production. They are in that mineral space, so NAK getting a bump from that decision. Then this morning, we have Microalgo, MLGO, basically announcing a offering here, 8 cents a share, valued at around $20 million. It's worth noting here, MLGO, frequent small cap runner with about a 4.7 million share float. About 80% of that float is going to be sold short, guys. Back to you.
Ooh, okay.
Thank you very much, Adara. Microalgo, that's a crazy one. Last week it was I know that was on the watch list at least one day last week, I do believe. So, you know what, I like Intel short still. We just haven't really got much of a pop. You just did a topping tail candle in the VWAP, lower highs in a market which has higher highs. And don't get it twisted, everybody. When I said I would look next, if I don't get a long entry to short Tesla, we're still talking about the 200 period moving average being $10 away. Like it's up, I know it's up 10% now. We're $10 away from the 200 period, but you're starting to get into that resistance zone from earlier on in, I almost said the week, but in the month. Like you're not at 275 yet, but the way that it's moving and the lack of, like, look at the 15-minute here. Like there just is nothing standing in its way. But I'm not chasing these tops. That's all I was getting at. Like I'd rather short Intel because it's crap. But this thing gets past 275, I'm looking reversion. And it seems like it wants to go. Like this market is right now, like it's a long. What is with 29 on,
Which?
sorry, 30 on, 29, 30 on Palantir? There's just a, I don't know, there's just like a bit of a fake wall here of not that much size at 25.30, but you're seeing it hold now for the last 5 minutes on Palantir. It's broken trend, it's holding the higher low. If it loses 24.8, it's probably trouble, but there's somebody just sort of sitting here, iceberg at 25.30, not letting it go. This one, 5% to the upside, it's got plenty of room to rally. I don't see why we don't see 96 in here. So yeah, I was not discussing shorting Tesla imminently. I was just laying the groundwork for if we see anywhere close to 280. I just think that's a short level. We said it in the pre-market prep. I just didn't think there was a chance we'd get there this fast. Yet here we are. So IBIT's still looking good. Now Palantir is starting to bounce a little bit higher. Intel still making lower highs and lower lows and looking incredibly weak, but it just doesn't even pop enough to get me in. Let's take care of some business.
Yeah, sure, why not? Our friends at Trade the Pool right now are looking for you to scan that QR code because they are a game-changing platform that caps your risk while giving you the opportunity to trade real shares using, of course, company capital. That means no more risking. You guessed it, your savings. Trade the Pool now offers unlimited trading period during the evaluation phase. No pressure, no rushing, take your time. Perfect for your strategy and get funded on your terms. Remember, your losses are capped at a one-time evaluation fee and your profits are unlimited. Make sure you do head to tradethepool.com to start your trading journey with them now. And that QR code does give you those 10 points off. So go make sure you do check them out there at Trade the Pool. Great opportunities to be in trading nowadays. We talked about sort of the volatility that's there. So, you know, real trading is who we trade with, and then Trade the Pool, again, gives you that little sponsorship there. If you are in the United States, of course, Trade the Pool open to you guys. All right, Amazon, another out there just quickly at 203.60s or so as we start to pull back a little bit. Okay, so we're in Nvidia and Amazon. We're in Nvidia short. I guess I could cancel my 250 on Tesla, 250, sorry, which is where we're bidding, only $20 ago. Again, we should have just got a little more aggressive off the 200 period. Any stocks that we like early, maybe we should just look at that 200 period. I mean, Amazon didn't come close. We bought off the pre-market low. So again, another name that kind of is working out right there. You mentioned SMR earlier as some names to maybe get some, take some profits if you've had a bigger run in it or vice versa on the short for some of these names. And again, still a little bit of work to do up to $20. If they can get there, then we do like SMR. It got up to 19.20 again. This is a really funny market because some of the stocks that I'm looking at aren't at day's high, despite where this NASDAQ is. So I really wonder what's kind of leading the way here. As I pull down my watch list, let's have a quick look, whoopsies, at some of these names that we follow here today. So DraftKings, let's go sort by percentage points to see what's up. Okay, so I don't know why that didn't save. I fixed this.
I think Netflix.
Mara up 12 today. Tesla up 9. Jeez, man, Tesla. Oh, man. As soon as everybody says they're selling this name is when it starts to rip up. I think right now we're getting a lot of like buyer exuberance in this. Maybe the opposite may start to happen with Tesla soon. This could be just a beautiful update right there. Watch out for maybe pullbacks. Shopify up 5%. Coinbase, some of these names, I know Neil's in IBIT there. IBIT up nicely today, 5%. Affirm, another beat up name up. AMD up 5. ARM up 5. Palantir up 4.5. There's SMR. Meta up 4 and a bit. Amazon up 3 and a bit. So yeah, I guess the whole NASDAQ's just trying to go. I think it looks like it's on the back of a lot of Tesla. All right, man, here we go. Nice pullback as we sort of did that little review there. I don't know why we weren't looking at some of these stocks. Give me that bid down here at 17. Okay, we'll have to punch some 22s right there on Nvidia. The best bid that we got was 22s. So not that low there as we should have been looking over here. I didn't realize we came all the way back to the 50 period for Nvidia. We tried to stay with it, but this time instead of shorting the middle, even though it was VWAP, we just shorted the day's high. But we didn't get enough out there at the bottom. So hopefully we'll get another opportunity to do that. But Nvidia really moving around. Top to 50 period. We should have had a bid there. It does get as low as 15s. Let's see if it comes back in. Oh man, missed opportunity there.
Yeah, and as you were going through that little bit of a review, just look, same range in Palantir. It's still 95 to 95.5. It's going back and forth before it can potentially break out. But I just looked over my quote board. Netflix is going to go red, actually, if things continue the way that they're going. With the market so strong, Netflix, yikes. I haven't looked at this daily chart yet today, but look at this VWAP, not VWAP, the 50-period moving average in this 965 area. You've just been finding resistance up here on Netflix. Ideally, I want things to go up, so it would be great if you could just continue with the market and then this holds a 50-period and continues with the rest of the move. But relative weakness over there in Netflix, it's not everything that's looking strong, and yeah, now this is going to go continuing to break lower. So there's your point. We just didn't get VWAP on Intel. It is what it is. You don't have to be forcing the short, but it's the only thing that's weak. So Palantir holding for this little bit of a pullback that it had, not quite the VWAP. We're trying to reload in front of 95 and cover in front of 95.5, hold for 96. IBIT is slowed down and is starting to pull back. Didn't quite get to 50, 60, but you're still going to hold trend. Pull back into prior high is essentially what's happening right now on Bitcoin. So that'll be about the $50 level on IBIT. I think it was 86.8 or so if you're following Bitcoin in particular. So we're still dip buying this particular name. And what interesting timing, because we're about to throw to a Dara anyways.
Let's do this.
For the crypto update.
Let's see what some of these cryptocurrency names are doing. For one, I think it's worth noting Bitcoin on the daily chart here actually trying to break out a little bit of this local downtrend. We did, of course, have this double top culminating in a new all-time high on Inauguration Day on January 20th. Then we get into this downtrend. But as of late, as I mentioned last week during the segment, we make a little bit of a bottom last Tuesday, or I guess 2 Tuesdays ago now. Now, since in that 2-week period, since we've been in a little bit of an uptrend, we've broken this most recent resistance from mid to late last week. And right now, we're above that 88,000 level. Next clear level of resistance would be most likely that area just above 92,000 that we made on March 6th. Then here, this double top at the very beginning of March. So some areas for Bitcoin to overcome before it gets to that key 100,000 level. We've not seen a decisive hold of 100,000 since early February, guys, for some context there. Also, MSTR on watch once again, along with all of crypto. This crypto bounce in general was attributed to this overall market sentiment change with regards to the April 2nd tariffs, now viewed as being a little bit more measured than they initially were seen to be. And MSTR purchasing some Bitcoin over the weekend, but not as much as it necessarily has in the past, about just under $600 million worth of Bitcoin over the last week from what I was seeing. Now, in terms of other crypto names, Bitcoin up about 4%, Ethereum up about 4%. We've got Ripple here up about 2.5%, Solana and Doge both up more than 6 or 7%, Cardano up 3.5%. So strength across the board here. A lot of these crypto names trading sharply higher. Back to you.
Crypto, I mean,
Too bad about Mara. That's gone.
Where's Mara? Oh, yeah,
it was huge already, the $12 mark. I don't know. I mean, it is falling back into 88,000.
We're almost
so there is something there. Thank you, Adara, for your crypto update. We can have just a quick look. I did want to see again what, as I was looking at Nvidia, which seems to only want to go up right now. So we'll be getting ready to get stopped out of this one through 75s as we tried the short. We've been getting out of it, so it's been fine, but not great. Let's just reload this just to have a quick look because I did want to see what Ripple was up to because if Jared mentioned it, I missed it. So XRP, all right, there it is, man, up 7%. We talked about that could be the one going in the last 24 hours, now up 3% there for XRP. So again, that decision last week seems to have been a favorable one. Everyone talking to me about Ripple, there it goes, talking to me about Ripple anyways. All right, so I was gonna say there it goes because it looks like Nvidia is gonna, there it goes, take out that top. So one last fail there, man. We were long early and then we started to go short against the day's high as we thought maybe there was a problem with Nvidia. It doesn't look like it, 99 problems, not that one. And Amazon not going, so it does look like I still want to be here for the short. I'm kind of just waiting for that. If we could see some volume here, we've been getting out on these. It's been taking out the top. So the short not working out for Nvidia, but I want to get back in this name for sure. So we'll go 1 for 2 today. Short on Nvidia not working, and then obviously the Amazon long is working right now. Palantir, like I said, the long probably. Unless we see a reason, man, there's the NASDAQ. Every time I look down, like up 1.6, up 1.8, up 1.9, still trucking higher here goes NSAN. NASDAQ, the NASDAQ, and the ES, I guess, right? Yeah, up 1.5. Is XLF, that was one that I know you and I talked about trying to get more financials coming into play. XLF up 1.6, nice for an ETF. I did not buy XBI. We talked about that last week. So something that I should be buying, that's up another 2% or so right now, or no? Okay, yeah, 1.6. So what is weak? The sectors, we go over those.
Just very quickly, from the open, I know we always talk about percentage gain is always from the prior close, but if you look at it from the open, Chinese names are red, PayPal is red, Apple is also red, Uber is CCL, and then remember we said Netflix down 1% is the open, Intel, Disney as well down 1%. So it looks like the streamers are not doing very well here. And what is ND? Oh, that's that.
Reversal?
No, that's that stock Raheem was. Like, why? What is this random venture?
Okay.
No, it's just a. I'm trying to remember which crypto name it was. They're invested in. It doesn't really matter. I'll think about it later. But strength in Palantir, but not so much coming into Bitcoin. So same range in Palantir, 95 to 95.5. That's gonna bug me because I forget the name of that stock. But starting to come back, continuing to come back in here on IBIT from that 50 break. Now all of a sudden you got two things going on: pulling back into prior high, and you've got a potential trend break on the downside that I'd revert back into. So a couple of ways that IBIT can come in here. I'm going to hold it as long as we hold VWAP. I want to continue to work on that long. Look at HODL. And Nike is another one, man. Like, this Nike's not on my quote board, but Nike continuing to drop, like down 1%, still getting punished. And we mentioned this
Nike
last week. Like, let it chill. Like, it just lost a 52-week low after earnings, and you're still working on hopefully consolidating somewhere. But yeah, still some weakness happening in Nike. It hasn't really gotten back to the Friday low, which would be an interesting place for a bounce. Yeah, but there's not strength everywhere. I mean, there's weakness, trust me. You want to find it in Apple, you want to find it in Nike, you want to find it in Intel, you want to find it in Netflix. But everything else, absolutely churning. So we're looking for that 96 on Palantir. Haven't got the reentry spot yet on IBIT, although it's getting really close to breaking that trend. And Tesla, Tesla is an absolute beast. I am half convinced that when 11 o'clock comes, I'm going to ring the register. I think maybe I'll take a quarter out of what we recently bought at 222, as long as it's close enough to this 280. If it's already pulled back, maybe I don't do it at the 60s. But Tesla holding for some strength. This thing is an absolute rocket ship. I'll slap the fail for not getting into that long.
Nothing wrong with taking advantage of that.
I didn't think we'd already be here, so, you know.
No, that's quick. I mean,
surprised.
You know, Sharif says, quick as you like on that one. Nice move to the downside. Look, man, more covering here for Nvidia as we wait for that 121 to finally break. Let's see if we can get VWAP again, 120.10s, 120.15s. If we can get that, then all good. You mentioned NCAA. We actually have, this is pretty cool. Neil and I were looking at this. This is Profit X. So it's like a new sports betting site, which is real cool. You can actually, what I found was this is peer-to-peer. So you set your own line. You can come in here and pick your own lines as we go over to the NCAA basketball futures. Look at this. This is the other thing that you could do. You could take no. So talk about like sports betting, how awesome that is. Not one website that I know of, not FanDuel, not anything else, can you bet no. So will Auburn win the national championship? Right now, plus 520, which is 5-1 on yes, or 7-1 the other way on no. So you can take no. Like if you think that like Duke does not have a chance, minus 250, boom, right there. So
You're like me.
Yeah, where's Michigan State?
You're a Duke hater like me. Michigan State's not
probably not on here.
No, they'll be on there.
20-1. Yeah.
Down.
Yeah.
But
so go ahead. Yeah.
What I love about it's a dynamic market because I'm looking at that Bama line.
Yeah, right.
And what you'd want to see is that comes back a little bit because I think of the top seeds like. I just think they're a little.
They're the one that's giving you.
I think they're a little overrated.
Yeah, that's what.
So you wait. It's like the market. Like you wanted to buy the dip. You want to see that come back a little bit. I think it's a little expensive on the no right now, but it's like buying the dip on IBIT. You just have to wait for it to come to you, get it in good, and it's just like trading, which is it's so different because a lot of times you can watch the momentum of it in the bid ask.
Right.
And that's why it works with what you guys are sort of used to as traders. Is you can see the line come to you and then swipe the book to be able to get your fill at the odds you want. Well, it's the Bama one that I'm looking at because I don't bet on Michigan State because I'm just not rational when it comes to them. I always think they're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, 20-1, I mean, you could sprinkle a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's tough as a two.
I know myself. I'm always bullish on the Jays. I'm always bullish on Michigan State. I'm always bullish on the Bills.
Right.
I'm just not rational, so I don't bet on those teams because I'm a bit of a homer when it comes to them. But I am buying the dip right now.
All right, let's go over to Adara.
This part of the show is brought to you by eSignal. Traders, listen up. First month free. That's right, we are waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite. Analyze, strategize, and capitalize. Our platform is everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with backtesting, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips. All in one platform, do not miss out. Execute your best trades now with eSignal. Are you ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Back to you.
Yeah, make sure you click that link. That's for sure. We do
Loving some eSignal.
Yeah, we're using eSignal here. We've sort of showed that, and I sort of showed a little bit today some of the scanning and whatnot that does go through with eSignal. Very, very important. And I mean, that's how you try to find some of these levels. You know, we haven't been very good today trying to grab Nvidia, but at the same time, we'll have short, and look what just happened, man. We just pulled back again into 120.50, so we'll put a bid down there in case that does happen one more time. Futures at highs. I would think shorting the futures is probably a good play at this level. I don't know why we chose Nvidia up here again. I'm just sort of been obsessed with it. We do have $2.50 in the money right now for Amazon, a name that the three names. So weird. So I gave you two last week, and you guys know we talked about Netflix as being a dip buy opportunity. Well, this one has really ripped, man, up into the 50-period moving average. But today it's having some kind of ways as it's falling back in as well here. Down 0.5%. So I know we looked at SMCI. I know we looked at a few different names. But I do think that this does have an opportunity to get back into some buy zones. So again, what about a 950, a 945 or so area for that? I did want to always look at this RGC. We got $40 in super chats on this one, and I just hope that there was some of that advice. At least we, don't give all the best advice all the time, but sometimes we're okay. And that was sell at least half of your position there off the open, not half, but at least get back to flat. So you're playing with house money. So that has had to move down. You did mention that you were long at $10. This is trying to settle down, but it's not halted. It's just the volume rate here, and I just want to show you on some of these names, like it goes through, that's fine, but 10 shares, like some dark pools, 200 shares. The spread right now isn't that bad, man. Like there is 100 shares here at 47.50. There is 100 shares here at 47.05. So depending on what you're seeing, it's not always the truth. Trading in the middle, I would say if you're trying to trade this, cross into some of these levels and pick up an odd fill maybe somewhere, but you don't have to pay these prices. There are levels going through here that are in between. So just get ready. The spread is not necessarily this $2. There are part fills in here that you can have. So each one of these are denominated with 100 shares minimum. So that means that that's there, and then there could be also reserve orders, right? And so,
which I guarantee you on this stock.
Yeah, exactly. So just get ready for that. As I know a lot of you were talking about being a little scared there sometimes of trading with illiquid names. This is definitely an illiquid name here, RGC, but there is some levels in between there. Okay, now it's 10:41. Let's go over to the green screen once again with Adara.
The green screen is looking incredibly green right now, of course, led by these tech plays, electronic technology and tech services, both looking great, especially our top sector here, electronic technology. We have Broadcom, we have Apple, we have Nvidia, all really strong here, including GE as well, nice play. Now, if you look here at technology services, a little bit more mixed, Meta, Oracle, Google, all looking great here, but we have Netflix noticeably red and Microsoft a little bit flat to red on the day here. Finance looking great, BRKB, JPM, MasterCard, Morgan Stanley, all really strong. Retail trade here, it's really hard to find a red name here. Even Home Depot is great, and this one was downgraded by Piper Sandler this morning along with Lowe's. Now we have some strength in health technology, commercial services, consumer services. We also have here producer manufacturing, consumer durables led by a lot of push to the upside here in Tesla, energy minerals and transportation all strong. A little bit of weakness to mixed sentiment here in communications, which was really strong earlier in the year, but starting to give up some of that relative strength. Consumer non-durables also a little bit mixed to flat with PG to the downside this morning, guys. Back to you.
Oh, man. All right.
Well, you don't surprise me that a stock like when money goes back into tech, then maybe it comes out of some safe things. We talked about rotating maybe out of the China and some of the. I didn't look at Europe.
Out of China?
I didn't look at Europe yet today, but every single time you say China, of course, I hear from my left.
Yeah, we hear from Sharif over there.
Always good fun there, Sharif. But I just put a trailing stop on pound tail, get to IBIT because we got the dip buy in IBIT. But I put the trail when we wicked the high on Palantir, got trailed, and now it's out at 96. It just got to 96. I got out at 95.80 something. I believe I got like 95.80 something. So we dip bought into the 95 even, and this is continuing to go 6% up. Kind of a broken record where I'm just like, I feel like we've gone a little bit far, a little bit fast. Want to make sure that we're taking some outs. And Palantir really could see 100 today. Like that is the next level on the daily chart. We'll just have to wait for a dip buy to get back in. We were obliged with Bitcoin pulling back and IBIT giving you that 50 reload. So it didn't go to 49, but it broke out the top. If we like the long, either it's fill in the gap, give us our long there, or just sort of working on all the dips here in IBITs. We're still in this. And Mike Guardian. What up, Mike? Great name in the chat. Hood is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole market is crazy. Robinhood, look, if crypto's doing this, I look over, it's a 2% day. The names that got beaten up, like percentage gain the most, and got cut in half here, Robinhood. Tesla got cut in more than half from its highs. Those are the ones having the outsized moves. Maybe Palantir didn't necessarily.
No.
Maybe it didn't get cut in half or anything, but you know it's one of those outsized movers. The only thing with Robinhood is it's at the 50 period right now at 49. Like these just, I don't want to chase these at highs. 10% up. I think when it's at a top like this, dip into VWAP. I'm trying to resist the temptation to short all of these trend breaks in the moment. Like Robinhood is going to be a gorgeous trend break, and it's also setting up on the daily chart as well. Like look at that tight trend line. And on the daily, you're also at resistance. It's very tempting to take that curl. You just have to have a really tight entry and exit, I think. Like it breaks it, don't chase. Like if it breaks that trend line, maybe you get in like on a break of the prior bar, get like a 70s, and then you're only risking to 49. Because I think you want to go minimal risk on a short trade because we've just been knocking it out of the park. And even this trend break only gave you like 30, 40 cents. So you can only risk 10 to 15 if you're only going to get 30, 40. I think from here you get more, though. We'll see. We'll see on Robinhood. I don't know if I want to short this name, to be honest with you. It looks like a good setup. I'd rather work back into some longs. Palantir's already at 97.
Palantir is nuts.
Adara?
This part of the show is brought to you by WorkSport. Introducing a new discovery on the NASDAQ, WorkSport, ticker WKSP. WorkSport is a US-based manufacturer, and they're rapidly expanding with growing revenues, government contracts, and innovative green energy products designed to power your life off-grid. Whether you're on the move or seeking sustainable energy solutions, WorkSport has you covered. Now trading on the NASDAQ under WKSP. Discover the future of clean energy with WorkSport. Back to you.
You don't know anything
Flexibility
about
on tariffs,
and it seems to be flexing the market here. That is for sure. Okay, like we're starting to go. I mean, Nvidia is now at 120, 125s and going higher. Right now, Amazon's trying to, here it is. Nvidia, okay, hold on a second. I want to check out AMD quickly because that was a name that we identified early as being pretty strong, up to 112. This is up 5% as well. Like we're talking about Tesla pushing 10% right there. I think it was even 10% at 274. So that's going to be a monster name there going higher and higher and higher today is Tesla. Amazon's back to that 203. We are waiting to get out right now at 88s if we're able to do that. Yeah, there it is right there. So nice move to get out right there. Palantir was great at those levels, as you mentioned. Is Apple finally starting to go right now? An Apple a day, right? Yeah, okay, so they're at the 200 period. So maybe if you're thinking there's some kind of weakness in any of these names, Apple right now trying to break through. Whether or not they do that up here at 220 could be worth it. I mean, the futures right now are at the highs. We talked about where that level was coming through. I'm going to try a little bit of Apple. We'll punch in a little bit here at 90s. Just giving until that top wick there of 220.20s. We'll see about shorting it into that level right there, but that's going to be Apple. We do have some shares on board now. So finally, a name that's not as strong as the market, playing that game short now for Apple. Short right here at 93. The third name that will be in here today is going to be Apple. Just trying to give it that 20 cents, which means we do need a pullback into 40s or so. Yeah, maybe that's not enough. maybe this doesn't happen into those lows. Like we do keep on resisting this 40 level. This could just be a game where maybe we just play the levels. But for right now, yeah, we're short Apple, long Amazon, and that's about it, man. The Palantir, like the last time we sold this name was at 114, and we flipped it into Tesla. So I think we're probably net on that. But maybe we, just because Tesla's moving up today, but maybe we get some more out of Palantir if we do get back into this 110, 115 area. It looks like it's trying to go there for sure. Up 7% today, PLTR. So that one's really starting to work out for us. Other than that, let's just stay what we're doing, man. And Nvidia, Palantir, Micron up 3% today. Apple trying to hold out. Amazon a good one. DraftKings over $40 now again, as we talked about, like this name at 35. So you're just have missed, like, it's not great practice to look back and say like you missed all these levels, because when they were there, we were talking about them. So you'll just feel regrets. And I just feel like right now, that's the one thing that we don't want to have. Stick to what you're doing. This could just be one of those days that, happens. Tomorrow, we pull back, right? What about, we're all getting all excited and all like, oh, like Neil just mentioned about flexibility. Well, what if he wakes up to, well, he's obviously, I guess not Biden, right? So I guess he's awake right now.
Hope so.
If they come out and start talking, what if someone asks him, hey, what did you mean about flexibility? And then he goes, well, I didn't mean this. And then the next thing you know, this market does hit the skids one more time. But for right now, NASDAQ nicely done to the upside. And we're taking whopping 10 cents right now on Apple as we hope for this one to get a little bit lower. So shorting the weak names finally instead of just shorting Nvidia. Let's see what happens here with Apple. Anything before we go? We're going to talk about the US
shorting
dollar.
pops into, like Intel's going to get to VWAP. It's one of the few things that looks relatively, we talked about this already. Lower highs, all that good stuff. So going to start working the short off of VWAP for that. Palantir is
still busting higher though. Wow.
You know what? Palantir, we showed that daily chart, $100. Got in too late, now too early. We played 95 to 96. It wants 100. So it's at 97.5. And quite simply, the 100 level is just when it first broke 100. Well, it's not. Yeah, when it broke 100 back into February, there was a pullback right into like 99 change, 99.5. And so it was a little support there. And then on the re-break, there was support the next day at $100. And it's 100, which is a psychological level. If it gets to 100, I think I got to look for a short on Palantir. I don't have to. It's just I'm going to. Let's leave it there. Like, you don't have to do anything except pay your taxes and.
Even that, I mean.
Well, I mean, you could Wesley Snipes it if you want, but I would just.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, unadvised to do that.
Unadvised not to. So shorting into VWAP there on Palantir. IBIT, we're still looking for either a stronger bounce off 50, which takes you to the highs, or maybe we'll get a reload before that. You're starting to go a little sideways, which makes sense. It's 1050, and when it's 1050, we go to Adara.
Get it.
We're going to be talking here about money talks, but I think it's worth noting we were just talking about Donald Trump and tariffs. About 10 minutes ago, he actually posted on X, and started this post, oddly enough, in the third person, about more tariffs, specifically with regards to Venezuela, saying that President Donald J. Trump or himself did announce that there's going to be a secondary tariff or a reciprocal tariff here on Venezuela, taking place, of course, on April 2nd, 2025, what he's been calling Liberation Day. So one additional reciprocal tariff that we know of heading into April 2nd. But yeah, it is worth noting, even though there are some talks, there will be more measured tariffs. We're going to have to wait and see what happens there in about a week's time. So that, I just wanted to quickly address that. Now, in terms of the US dollar, nice push to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going on 5 straight days of green for the USD after a pretty nice push to the upside, a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern for that US dollar on the daily chart. Let's see if we're able to sustain this relative strength. In terms of economic data, it's a bit of a lighter day. We did have, as mentioned earlier, stronger than expected S&P services and composite PMI, weaker than expected S&P manufacturing PMI coming through earlier today. We have Fed's Bostic speaking here at 1:45. Now I'm seeing new to the calendar. We're going to have Donald Trump and the Louisiana governor speak at 2. So Donald Trump comments at 2 p.m. They were not on the calendar last time I checked earlier today, so keep an eye on that. Then we'll also have Trump here at a Greek independence celebration at 3 p.m. And at 3:10, we're getting comments from Fed's Bar. So pretty busy afternoon from a public speaking perspective, not a ton of economic data. And before we send you back to the guys, we want to take a moment to thank our friends at ProfitX. Are you looking for unbeatable odds on the biggest games? Switch to ProfitX's peer-to-peer platform, where you set the price. No more one-size-fits-all lines. It's like crafting your own picking strategy with real-time trading tools. Secure the best odds, track the action, and watch your plays come alive. Experience total control at every step. ProfitX, sports playing reimagined. Back to you.
Wow, Nvidia, yeah, thanks about that. Yeah, we like that
Not
ProfitX.
me,
I think that's an interesting play there with ProfitX. Thanks to Dara for that. Look at Nvidia. I'm glad we stopped shorting it. But I'm disappointed that we shorted it to begin with. But look at Nvidia now up 3.5% as we go gadget Nvidia chips. Nicely done there to the upside on that one. So yeah, congratulations to anybody that was able to find out for some. Oh, that's Apple right now, but some nice Nvidia trades right there upside. But I think the real play probably was an AMD, as we talked about that name, giving you some nice love there to the upside for AMD. I don't know. I think it was a better play than Nvidia today.
Oh yeah, today AMD at 6%.
Yeah, not as an investment, but AMD. Yeah. I just think Nvidia is a dog that wags a tail, right? Obviously.
This trend break on AMD, man, like you gotta put some respect on the name, because anytime you have this distinct downward channel, it broke the channel.
Come on,
it's broken the 50-period moving average. Like this, yeah, AMD might be a. I don't want to jinx it or anything, because now that I've said it, it'll probably lose the 50-period, and this is now going to be short-lived. If it closes, holds that for tomorrow, the swing trade could go in, and then the hold to the 200-period moving average, and then see where it can go from there. The stop at the prior low, like it's 10 to 15. I don't know what the exact math will be, because it's a tomorrow thing, but you could be risking 10 to 15% to see if you can't get 25, 30 points, and then hold the rest on AMD. It's looking off. It's looking awfully good, and it's been a while since we said that. Like I said, we're shorting into VWAP on Intel, but the other thing that's happening is the market's at the high. Like NASDAQ's at the high, ES is at the high, Bitcoin put in a lower high into 50. So I don't necessarily love this for an auto reload here on BTC, on IBIT, I should say. You know, lower high. Show me a little bit more strength in this. Otherwise, we'll wait till VWAP here on IBIT. Just don't love what I'm seeing. And the market's at the high of the day. Why are you making lower highs and pulling back into support? I'd hate for this to be a dip buy and then breaks trend. It's already showing you enough relative weakness for the strong names. All right, so Intel, we're going to short here into VWAP, but respect the prior close, which is 24.25. And if it gets down into there, take some profit out on that. Completely ignored the Chinese names this morning. Didn't really think there'd be too much of a trade there, but weakness.
Yeah.
You know, BABA flushed at the open. It's trying to put in some higher lows as we speak, but it seems like Alibaba, I don't know what that wick's all about, but it seems like Alibaba was doing what we thought it might threaten to do, which is this little flag or channel on the daily. If it presses underneath here, I'm just thinking you're short if we break this bottom line of the trend line, and then you're going to get to the 200-period moving average. So this is right on it's just bouncing right on that trend, right on that Friday support level. Bit of a flat bottom break potential here underneath that 134 on Alibaba. Worth watching. I don't know if it's going to do it today. It's kind of used it for support in the short term here. But yeah, weakness in China. It's not all green everywhere. Like it feels like the way the market is screaming in Tesla. Yeah, some money coming out of China, which makes sense when it was going into the U.S.
All right, we're back Greensville here on Apple, as Apple just absolutely tanked right now. So we'll wait to see what happens right over there on this one. Because Brendan's already eating lunch, let's just figure out what's for lunch. Must have come in a little bit early, as Brendan is excited, boy. This is one hungry man. Okay, today, what's for lunch? We're going to figure it out. It is called chili chicken today for lunch, with vegetable fried rice, wok tossed bok choy with chili chicken, okay, and fortune cookies. All right, so chili chicken. Oh, as in okay, so chili peppers. I thought it might have been a chili with chicken. Yeah,
that's
chili.
what I was thinking. That makes,
well, I mean, why else they have fortune cookies, bok choy, vegetable fried rice?
I was given like some screw face, like what?
I was just like, I don't mind chicken and chili. I don't know if I've ever really had it. I think it'd be okay. I know some people have turkey chilies.
Well, so not to get off topic, but like sometimes we'll do like turkey ground beef in chili just because it's a little more lean.
Right, yes.
But I think
I've heard of turkey for sure.
But yeah, I've never done chicken. No, but like turkey.
Yeah, so chili chicken. So Chinese chili chicken, I'm going to say, or I don't know what
makes
exactly.
More sense.
But that's what it is. But right now, so thank you. That's what's for lunch. We've got the menu here every day, so we'll be going over that. We'll be going. Yeah, no, Adara does not like spicy stuff.
No, not even
there,
a little
Sebastian.
bit.
kind of the opposite on that one. All right, well, we're not going oppo too much here on Apple because right now we are starting to come back in to the downside, man. Nice little trade here, 50 cents in the money. We just put on a couple hundred shares, but we're going to get out of some downside right now and just see if we can absorb some of this play. Nvidia's really pulled back as well. That's now underneath 220. So as the market, sorry, that's not Nvidia. That was Apple. My bad. Look, I was confused. I had them on the same level too there. Nvidia's still holding it out. I was like, Nvidia's down to 120. There it is. Nice move there as the futures remain quite high right there. Nvidia pull back longs. We should have just stuck with the long where we lost our way there. Gave it all back going short. Nvidia, not a great play. But it's 50 cents now as we just take out some more Apple. Apple's really starting to go. So this is like good trade back in for the rest of the day here. We'll see if Apple continues to go. Amazon, great out there. We have 2% left of Amazon. We'll get out if it breaks the VWAP. Other than that, man, that's about all that's going on over here. Let's just wait to see. Out some more Apple might as well if we can get this low. But there goes Apple, 219, 60s. We're bidding 67s. I don't know why. Give it to us, right? Did we get it? I don't think we did yet. No, we did not. All right, well, this will happen. There it goes. Sometimes if you're on a paid gateway, it has to go all the way through. So nice trade there, 50 cents in the money for Apple, making it back on AAPL.
Yeah, Apple, I mean, it's still relatively weak. Remember, as Sean pointed out, well, I think you did, it's actually down since the open. Relatively weak, lower highs, and not looking very good. I haven't reloaded IBIT for the exact same reason. Well, not the exact same reason, but it is lower highs while being up into a market which is at the top. Like you are now, like you've been trending up the whole way, but since you've made higher highs, higher lows on this NASDAQ, ES, same thing, I said lower highs over into IBIT. Looks like Hood was a short. I didn't want to do it, but it's starting to pull back a little bit heavily here off that trend break. Robinhood was up 10%. I think VWAP's going to make a heck of a lot of sense. If it can show anything like the pullback that we had into 10 o'clock, or that's like 10, whatever, like 10:10, whatever that was, I want to see that kind of a pullback in. IBIT, still waiting for it. I think we can afford to be patient. It is 11 o'clock at this time. I do like the VWAP reload, but it's not showing me enough of a curl here yet to go into the long. And as mentioned, the only thing that we are short, well, I'm short, is Intel. I'm bidding here 45. Sorry, check that. I'm on 44. I'm in the mid 30s and then in front of 30, which is just the range that is established here on Intel. So yeah, continually weak on that bad boy. Ron Williams likes Microsoft long. It's been a while since we said we like Microsoft long, but it hasn't been too long since you guys saw the Bash Brothers, and we're happy to send you to Learn to Trade. We'll be back at 2 o'clock, and we'll leave you in good hands with the professor with Joey Options.
Get some options.
Let's go. And apparently Randy as well.
Figure out your options.
What's up, Randy?
Joey Options. They're talking about the Cybertruck. Let's see it this evening.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Where's the music? What is up, beautiful people?